All right, guys, welcome back to Remotely Wasted. This is our week 5 college football episode. We're getting to the point in the season where a lot of teams are essentially playing in what are college football playoff elimination games. We saw that a couple of weeks ago with Clemson getting knocked out by the hands of Florida State. And then this past weekend, we saw LSU pretty much get knocked out of playoff contention by Ole Miss. Then this upcoming weekend, we have Alabama
Oregon,
and A&M.
Oregon and Washington.
Oregon and Washington
Yeah.
as well. But I mean, I feel like Oregon and Washington could still
Yeah, they can still make it.
afford a loss,
Yeah.
whereas Bama and A&M, whoever loses that is out. Not that A&M's hopes are super strong, but if you're an A&M fan and you're thinking, hey, if we win out, we make the playoffs. You're right. You know, if
Yeah.
A&M wins out, they do make the playoffs. So
We're
that's kind of where we
definitely
are.
we're at like a point where we have a lot of clarity on a lot of teams. We kind of know where everybody's at, what everybody's looking like. And there's still some people that are like not really showing up in like the first half, and it's a little concerning. Because like there's these teams should be dominating at this point in the season.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be rolling in and going into halftime tied with teams that they should just be shitting on. Um, so there's some teams that are still kind of iffy for me, but a lot of them I'm like, okay, I kind of know what we have here with this team and so on and so forth. But it's looking good. It's gonna be a good week.
Yeah, and I mean, we're getting to the point where every week the field just keeps getting more
Yeah.
narrow. I think last week I said there was 27 undefeated teams left. I think that got narrowed down to like 21, 22. Three of them that I highlighted that were undefeated but weren't in the top 25 were Louisville, Kentucky, and Maryland. Louisville
Well,
sneaks in, Kentucky gets in
how Maryland is not
decisively.
ranked is above me with fucking LSU sitting there with two losses. That
It's weird. I was actually gonna start with this question for you. Okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, one being like super unlikely, one being very likely, what do you think the chances of Maryland pulling an upset against Ohio State are?
I've been high on Maryland all year, and I've been betting Maryland like every week. This week scares me. I don't know. I really think they can win. I'm gonna go like six
Yeah,
and
I
a
mean
half.
it's definitely possible, and this is their chance. If Maryland pulls off
Yeah,
this game, they're undefeated and they got a big win. They're gonna
if
shoot way up there.
if any time Maryland is ever gonna beat Ohio State, like this is the year. Like I don't know, like the next time they're ever gonna get a quarterback like they got now. Like I'm not saying that I can't even remember what the fuck his name is to his brother. Uh, I keep wanting to say DJ, but it's not DJ. DJ's at Oregon State.
Nah, it's a very similar name to Tua. It's like I can't even I don't remember what it is. But yeah, they got confusing names. But yeah, to his brother, he's done phenomenal this year. Maryland's just looked amazing this whole season.
Talia,
Yeah,
Talia.
Talia, I guess is what his name is.
It might be Talia.
Yeah, that
I
might
don't
be
know,
possible
but
too.
he's fucking good. I'm not saying he's like top in the country type shit. He could be. He might just have like a a lower caliber team than some of these other people, but he's carrying that fucking team. And if Ohio State's not careful, they're gonna get beat at home. So I'm pretty sure they're at home, but I think that's the reason Ohio State does win is because they are at home. And McCord, he's starting to get in a groove. He looked pretty good this past week, or not this past week because they didn't play this week, but the week before that.
Yeah, he's coming into his own. He's starting to look like a pretty good player.
I'm
I
gonna
think I think Ohio State does win, but I think
yeah.
Maryland gives them a little bit more trouble than people are expecting them to.
I could also see him just getting blown out too, unfortunately. But I don't think that's gonna be the case. I think it could potentially go to overtime.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that kind of game. I still think it's a little bit disrespectful that Maryland's not even ranked. They're better than
I agree,
some of the teams that I see in this top 25.
but it could be because of who they played.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't played,
They
anybody
beat
too
Michigan State,
phenomenal. And Indiana, that's a conference game.
and
Indiana's not the best team, but that's
they've
a
kind
Big
of
Ten team.
they've beat everybody pretty handedly. So like that's like what more can they do to show you like that they're pretty legit. Did I tell you I put a bet on Maryland to win the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think you were telling me
Yeah.
that maybe like the
So
last episode.
it's not likely with the schedule that they have, but I think they could do it. I'm just no, I'm not selling the farm on it. I'm gonna
What's
go ahead.
unfortunate is that if they don't win this game, that lowers their chances even more to get in the top 25.
I mean, if they lose this game and then they win these two games, I don't see why they couldn't. pop up into like 24, 22 ish. Because some of these teams are going to move up. More losses are going to accumulate here. We're going to start seeing a lot of two-loss teams hanging around here.
Yeah, we're gonna see that. Louisville, they had actually not the best performance against NC State. It was like 13 to
Yeah,
10.
it's
It
pretty
was
close.
defensively they looked really good, but their offense just couldn't get it going. They trailed a little bit during the game. Louisville, I'm a little bit more iffy about them than I was a week ago. I had like really high hopes for Louisville, and I mean they could still pull something out. I believe they have Notre Dame this weekend, which is a big test for them. So if they can pull something out against Notre Dame, obviously they're going to be a contender. I don't see it happening after their performance last week.
I don't know, man. They got Notre Dame at home, and Notre Dame looks like doo-doo water. We'll touch on that real quick. Had Notre Dame as let's see. What the fuck's that? Okay.
That was a good
This
little
game pissed me the
ending.
fuck off.
That
Duke
fourth and
lost.
long where Sam Hartman took off and
Bro,
converted that.
Duke lost this game. They had the ball. They were up by it was 14 to 13. Their last like drive, I think it was after this one. So I think I'm trying to remember exactly play by play. I'll just go to the box score or the play by play. All right, so they score, fumble. Am I just lost here? What am I doing? I don't know. So they were up, and then they elect not to kick the field goal, and then they did the QB punt to pin them down to pin them deep. I think it
Yeah.
was or Notre Dame's like last drive or some shit, and then they're like blitzing the hell out of them. They're getting to him. They're getting pressure in, and then it's like that big fourth down play you're mentioning, and then they don't bring pressure. Like, what the fuck are you doing? They just
Yeah.
drop back, and then the dude's just like da da da. Oh, 16 yards wide open and just runs for it. I know he don't run a lot, but fuck, man, like why are you not blitzing? It's fourth and like fucking a mile, and it's been working all day. Just you change it up. Teams do this so much; they change up something that's been working all game, and they lose. It happens so often, and it's so
Yeah.
frustrating.
They could have at least had a spy on him or something. Because I think they just panicked that we can't let any receivers get open. We don't want to give up. But then you got this big chunky yardage, and I mean he's not the most mobile quarterback like you said, but I mean he could
He can
get up
run.
there a little bit in speed if he needs to, and he did.
It's just I don't know.
Unfortunate for Duke. And
And then
then
Riley Leonard got hurt. Like I don't know what's up with him.
it's
Uh,
not season ending from what I was reading. But I don't know how long he's going to be out. That could potentially cost any hope they had for the rest of the season if he's out for 3-4 weeks.
if I'm him, I'm just shutting it down for the year. Like he's already projected to potentially go in the first round. Like no need to just fuck your shit up unless he thinks his draft stock might need some work. Then he might pop back in for their tail end of their year because he'll probably
That's what I'm saying. There's this terrible stretch of games where he could miss.
fuck. If I'm him, I'm skipping these two games because I don't want to go. Like obviously he's hurt, so he's probably not playing here. I'm definitely not coming back to play Florida State on the road if I'm still not 100%. I don't want to get absolutely destroyed. And then Louisville, yeah, why not come back that week and then he can have good outings again these next 4 weeks after that. So maybe not sit out the whole rest of the year, but definitely skip the next 2 weeks. Do himself some favors.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate. And then yeah, like I had mentioned at the beginning of the episode, LSU dropped that game to Ole Miss, which is crazy because
That game was nuts,
I
bro.
thought LSU was gonna win that.
I did too. I thought they were gonna like handle them like pretty well. I'm not saying it was gonna be a blowout, but I thought LSU was gonna beat them by like 2 scores, which I guess you can consider that a blowout in some scenarios. This one though, this game is crazy. This is like the most like I think yards scored in a game and like between these two teams, and then it might be like the most in like SEC history in like one game. Like this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. One turnover, like 32 first downs, 33. Like the time of possession is not really skewed. Like this was a pretty just back and forth game. It was a shootout.
This is a classic shootout. And I mean, Ole Miss, they really needed it. Like, where was this Ole Miss when they were playing
Facts.
Bama?
Fucking Lane Kiffin's still on my hot seat, by the way, but I don't think this game really did him any favors. Brian Kelly, on the other hand, his ass is fucking back in there. Dude can't coach his way out of anything. He's terrible. They have a good defense too. Like, what the fuck happened? This didn't even look like two SEC teams. This is like a Big 12 game.
Yeah, or like a Pac-12 like 9 o'clock game where teams are just scoring like crazy.
It's literally just back and forth, back and forth. There's only a couple like back-to-back scores from either team, and it's from Ole Miss.
I'll just say I think Jackson Dart is a phenomenal quarterback. I think he's one of the most
I,
underrated quarterbacks in the entire country.
I like him. He's got that fight in him. Like you could tell he's out there to play. Like he ain't scared to get hit. Like he's out there like trying to truck people like while he's running. Like not necessarily in this game because I didn't watch all of it. He might have trucked somebody, but I remember when he was playing Bama last week. The dude was going crazy just trying to like hit people. I'm like, bro, relax. He's getting smashed and his helmet's coming off. Like dude's got to fight. I like him. And
Yeah,
then
he's one of
Jaden
the more likable
Daniels.
guys.
Jaden
And
Daniels is good.
he had a phenomenal game. This guy's having an amazing season, and it's
Yeah, he is.
unfortunate because he's probably not going to be in Heisman contention if they keep losing games like this. If maybe they win out, I think he still has a good shot at it. But
Yeah,
at this
there's no
moment, it's
way.
not looking good.
There's no way. Not with the SEC being the way it is. They could probably lose to Missouri. If Auburn plays like that against Georgia, they could lose that game. Army is a trap team. That game, Army is weird, man. Alabama, they could win that game. Florida, they could win that game. Like A&M, I could see them just losing. So it's LSU is kind of one of those teams like we don't still have clarity on. They look good and then they
Yeah.
don't at the same time. I don't know, LSU makes me mad.
Yeah, LSU is one of the bigger question marks going forward in the season. Missouri 5-0, they're quietly just sneaking under the radar. If they get this win against LSU this weekend, Missouri is going to be a problem, especially if
Yeah,
it ends up being like decisive.
they
Missouri is one of those teams like
they're probably better than everybody kind of thinks or kind of gives them credit for, unless you're like a Mizzou fan and you kind of know what you got. I don't really watch Mizzou football. I watched them play that K-State game a little bit, and they looked good. But other than that, I don't know anything about them.
I know their coach is a really good recruiter. I know they've actually stole a few, not stole, but they won over some recruits that were thinking about going to Oklahoma, went to Missouri. Missouri's having a really good time recruiting, and then the season they're coming out pretty strong. We'll see. This is their first big. I mean, well, K State was a test,
That
so I mean
K-State's good.
they've kind of already proven themselves as a pretty good team. If they can do it
K-State could
twice,
win the Big 12 potentially, like still, but I don't think so. They could.
I mean, it's a long shot, but it is a possibility. And this is Missouri's chance to really solidify that they
Yeah.
are for real. They could beat LSU, and then you
And
got Kentucky. Oh my God,
I like
Kentucky!
Kentucky, man. I like them. I like them a lot.
This man Mark Stoops as their head coach. You could take away like anything, and he's going to find a way to continue to be a successful coach. Their running game is phenomenal. Florida, I thought Florida might have like before this
I
game.
thought Florida was going to win this game.
I thought
I made
Florida
a
was going to
bet.
win decisively.
I picked them. I think Florida had like a +2.5, so like they just had to not lose by 2.5, more than 2.5, and they got fucking blown out. They got the doors blown off of them. Like actually, I had this as my player of the week plays for Kentucky. I picked the running back. This dude
Yeah,
went
that's
fucking.
who I picked for player of the week as
We'll just
well.
touch on him since we're already here. This dude went fucking stupid and ran for almost 300 yards on 26 carries and got 3 touchdowns. Like that's insane, absolutely insane.
Put the team on his back.
I mean, the quarterback had a good game too. He only missed 5 passes. Oh no, that's Florida. Never mind. Fuck
Yeah,
that kid. Fucking Devin Leary. He hasn't looked that good this year. He looked so much better at NC State. He's came over and he's not really played super great. I don't know if maybe that's just not the type of offense they're running. Maybe they're kind of like a run first team, which if that's the case, you just stick with that because this dude's crazy.
I do
Uh,
have some questions about kind of Kentucky's coaching as far as the passing game goes because last year they had Will Levis, who everybody thought to be a first round talent, and he really didn't have that great of a game or great of a season last year. And then you got Leary, who had a pretty good season at
NC
NC State
State
before he
before he
got
got hurt.
hurt.
And he
And
beat
he's
us.
really not playing too good here. So I'm like, is it a coaching issue at Kentucky? Are they just like a run focused team? Is that what it is? But they
Yeah.
they seem to not get the production you would think they would get from their quarterbacks.
Who do they got next week? Okay, they got Georgia next week on the road. That's
Big game.
They're not winning. They're not winning in Georgia. It's not happening. That I think Georgia being on the road was like almost the only reason they lost. They almost lost.
Well, I think the problem with Georgia is anytime they have a struggle game like that, they come back the next week and they seem to have it figured out almost every time they struggle a little bit. So
I mean,
I
looking
would
at
think Georgia's going to win this pretty decisively.
and looking at like Kentucky's games, like they're handling the teams that they're playing. So like I don't think Georgia's blowing them out because Georgia's offense is nothing to like really fucking clamor about. They're not really great. They have a one fucking player. It's their tight end.
Yeah, and I mean
What?
Carson Beck's playing pretty good, but yeah, Bowers, that kid,
That's it. That's all they have. It seems like I don't
he's
know.
like Gronkowski, he just gets open.
Yeah, we'll come back to that because I got shit to say about that game.
Yeah, going forward from there, we already talked about
And
Duke.
Utah, fucking
Utah.
let Cam Rising, get your fucking ass on the field, brother. Come on, dude. If they
He
win
needs
that
to get
game, if
there.
he's in that game, they win. They could not do anything on offense. And that's a little bit of a testament to Oregon State having a good defense like we originally thought. But they did get kind of a lot hung on them by Washington State. So they're not like a fucking rock solid D. They're good, but Utah, what the fuck, man? They could not do anything.
It was a waste of a great defensive performance from Utah's defense. They were doing a
Oregon
lot
State
of
couldn't do
work just
anything
to keep
either.
them in
Yeah.
the game.
DJ looked terrible. They it was such a terrible game, like offensively for a good bit. And then Oregon State was able to kind of creep away. It was like it wasn't even a big win either. It was 21-7. It's not nothing crazy.
And I mean, the thing with it is Utah's defense just eventually tired out because the
Yeah,
offense
they're on the
just
field the
couldn't do
whole
anything.
game.
Nate Johnson, and that was my worst performance of the week was both of the Utah QBs, Johnson and Barnes. Barnes only came in for a short bit, but he threw an interception in a short time in there, and then he got hurt, and then they had to throw Johnson back in there. He was only 8 for 23.
He can't throw that. He's a freshman. I know they do have sometimes freshmen come in and light it up, but I feel like Utah's offense just really ain't built for and he's a different QB than Rising. He's not a like Rising's kind of a pocket passer. Johnson looks like he's like a kind of dual threat, like he wants to like run the read option type shit. That's what they should have been doing, something like that.
Yeah,
Like
I mean, I think Nate Johnson has
obviously,
potential if
yeah,
he
I do
going
too,
forward.
but like don't let the man throw 23 times if he's not fucking able to throw the ball. Like incompletions is not that's not acceptable. That's terrible. That's so bad.
That's a really bad
In a
game.
whole game, 8 completions.
It's really bad. I mean, Cam Rising, I don't know what's going on, and it makes me question when Cam Rising does come back. Is he even going to be the same Cam Rising we saw last year? Like, how
Should he
hurt is he if he can't
like
even play for five
should
games?
he even come back? Like, what's the point? Like, they already lost. They're not gonna fucking make a playoff run with one loss unless they win out in the Pac-12 and beat everybody, which it's doable. But he's gonna come in rusty. Like I talked about it last week. If he was gonna play this game, I think they still would have lost. But
Yeah,
like at least fucking try, dude. Unless it's something serious, still like it's not completely healed. I think I was mentioning it to you. I think he has like the doctors telling him not to play until like after their bye, which is does this not have
this
buys?
weekend. This weekend's the bye because their next game's 10-14.
Yeah, okay. So he should be coming back against Cal, which would be a really good tune-up game for USC Oregon next two games. So like they could win those. They could win these three if he comes in fucking firing on all cylinders against USC because USC has no defense to be spoke of. So this game could be a shootout. They're not beating Oregon.
Oregon's a little bit more of a
They
complete
have a
team.
defense.
They have a good
They have a
defense.
complete team. They're not beating Washington on the road. If I was him, I wouldn't even come back. Like fuck it. Why to come
I,
and play in the Rose Bowl again?
See, I don't know what his NFL prospects are looking like. I don't know. I don't think he's too highly rated as far as being drafted.
Well, if you
So
kind of think
he might
about
need
it,
to come back to do that.
if you kind of think about it, this is like a really heavy QB draft class, and
He's a senior. He's like
he's
a
a senior,
fifth
so
year senior.
he has to come out. Uh, I think he's gonna get drafted. It's not like he's not gonna go undrafted, and it might be beneficial to him to not potentially go in the first. Like he's not going over Caleb Williams and like Drake May and whatnot. So I guess it really doesn't matter what he does because he's going to go to a probably good team and be a backup. Like no team that needs a starting quarterback is going to be like, oh, let's go get Cam Rising, unless like people are jumping like crazy for these quarterbacks and somebody's like left without. They could look at him and maybe pick him in like the tail end of the first round or something. I don't know, but
Yeah,
he's not. He's
I
not
haven't
gonna.
done enough research to see what the scouts are thinking about him. I haven't really been seeing him in a lot of mock drafts and first rounds. I don't think I've seen him in any first round mock drafts.
Yeah,
Just
probably not.
because it's such a stacked
It's a
class.
stack class.
You
And
got
it's a
so many
risk.
good guys coming in.
Yeah, what the fuck? I don't even know what I'm talking about. Just talking out my ass.
Now Miami, I don't know if they played this weekend. I don't think they did. I didn't catch anything about it if they did.
I don't think so. So I feel like Temple was.
I'm not saying the
September
date on
23rd.
here. Okay, yeah. So they didn't play this weekend, so there's not much to say about Miami. They look good so far. We'll see how they come out against Georgia Tech, and then we already talked about Ole Miss and Oregon State. North Carolina was another team I don't think played this weekend. They have a big game coming up, I believe. Well, Syracuse is a reasonably big game in my opinion. That's a pretty solid team. They got beat by Clemson last week.
Man, they'd be kind of coming out struggling. North Carolina ain't coming out too hot out the gates. So if Syracuse can come out hot, they could potentially upset North Carolina. I think Drake May finds the way to win, but Syracuse could pull that game. I'm kind of inclined to bet on Syracuse.
Washington State was another team that didn't play. I'm still very, very high on this team. I
I like
think
Washington State. That quarterback is nasty. I like him. I
they
like
got
him
a
a lot.
great offense, an amazing offense.
Yeah,
Um,
when they play Washington, that game's gonna be crazy. Crazy.
I don't know how big of a rivalry that is. I'd imagine it probably is a
It
pretty
has to
decent
be.
rivalry. It's an
Yeah.
in-state rivalry, so that's going to be probably one of the most hyped up Washington State games because usually Washington State's not very good.
I hope they're undefeated when they play. End of the year. That'd be crazy because that's like they would both be sitting in like a playoff spot. Like if they're undefeated coming to the end of the year, they're gonna be in the top five at least, both of them. And
That'd
so
be
like
like a
that,
top five matchup. Yeah,
and yeah, this is gonna be crazy. And like then we're gonna have the same conversation that we have with like Bama and like Georgia type shit when they come into like the SEC championships undefeated. Like is a one loss gonna still make it? We might be having the same conversation with Washington or Washington State. Like does a one loss still get in?
well, what's interesting is I believe the Pac-12 is set up to where just the top two teams make the
Play for
championship,
yeah.
which would make it where
They would play
they play
again.
back to back weeks. And if they went 1-1, it would bring up that conversation. Like,
Oh man,
should they both get in? They
fuck it,
went
why
one
not?
and
And then
one.
they could potentially play each other in the fucking like in the playoffs. So they could play each other
Three
three
games
weeks in
in
a
a
row.
way.
Best of three. Let's run it back. Maybe not in a row. They could maybe play in the championship. I don't think they'd be seated, opposite like 1-4, or 2-3. Um,
You wouldn't think so.
no, but I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be cool. It would actually
It,
be really cool.
it'd be really cool. And then we got OU at number 12. That's my team. If it's your first time watching, we started off a little weird against Iowa State. Gave up some touchdowns, which we hadn't been doing this whole season. I went back and watched the plays to kind of see what happened. It looked like on both plays we had guys trying a little bit too hard to make a play, playing the ball
Trying to get
instead
a
of
pick.
trying to get the make a tackle,
Yeah.
and then they just went for touchdowns. It makes me a little bit nervous going into Texas, but I'm glad these mistakes happen this week. That way
Yeah,
we
for
can
sure.
correct them going into
Well,
Texas.
and the way I see that type of thing is like this is the team like you kind of try that shit on. Like you try to get you want to pad your stats a little bit. Like, there were 2-2 coming in this game. You guys are undefeated. You guys are riding high at home. Like, why not? Well, go for the pick six. Fuck it. Like, especially like if you know you're gonna win and you're pretty confident. Like, I can imagine like right around here, it's a little dicey, and fucking Venables probably chewing some people's ass for doing dumb plays. But
Yeah,
you
because
guys
you
are,
notice after that they didn't score again.
yeah.
They couldn't do anything after that.
So maybe around here was when Venables was like, all right, we're cutting the shit. Like, we're not stop fucking around.
Well, I think what happened was we started the game off first drive, pick six for a touchdown. I think that just got the defense getting maybe a little
They're
bit too cocky after
foaming
that.
at
Like
the mouth.
we're just gonna destroy
Yeah.
this team, and they ultimately did. But
Yeah.
it was a little dicey for a minute. Gabriel had a really good game, 3 touchdowns passing. He had 2 more on the ground. we've been using them in the running game a lot because we really don't have much of a running game. That's been our big weakness this year. We
I
just
mean,
can't get the running game going.
if he can run, like why not? But if you guys can't get the running game going against like good defenses, it's that shit ain't gonna fly. Unless they have some like QB like specific runs dialed up, and that he's gonna have to run a lot if that's what they're gonna do,
Yeah, that's
which is sketchy because I mean he could get hurt. He has some injury history, doesn't he? He's not.
yeah. So he actually I think he missed the entirety of the 2020 season due to an injury or
Was
like
that a
a big at
that was at
UCF.
UCF, right? Yeah, yeah.
And
Was
then
that when
last year he lost
fucking
2 games.
God damn it, the dude's name's escaping me. The UCF quarterback that fucking absolutely destroyed his knee, came back. He came to Florida State. He was like comeback player of the year. This was like a few years ago. I can't remember his fucking name. It's crazy because he played for us.
He was a starter.
Yeah, he transferred from UCF.
Was it a Francois?
No, it wasn't Francois. It was after that.
So, but basically the guy between
Is it
Francois and
Mackenzie Milton?
Travis. That
That his
that
name?
sounds that
Yeah, Milton.
sounds.
I think he was the quarterback before Gabriel, right?
I
At
believe
UCF.
so.
Yeah, so it's crazy because he fucking just blew his knee out of the fucking stratosphere, and then or his leg. I don't remember what it was. Crazy what happened to him, but and then Gabriel has another injury after that.
Yeah, he had that concussion last year that put him out for 2 games, and then that's how we ended up losing 49-0 to Texas last year because he wasn't in, and we didn't have a backup to even compete with. We were running the Wildcat pretty much the whole game because we didn't have anybody to throw the ball. But yeah, I mean the big focus on OU. I mean, yes, this was a good win against Iowa State, but I mean it's all about Texas this week. That's what everybody's talking about.
This is like one
Everything
of
I've
the biggest
seen.
games of the year, like every
This,
year. This
this
is
might be the biggest Red River rivalry like
in a
ever. It
long
feels like.
time. Yeah, because it could be. It's not the last one. I mean, you guys are obviously going to play in the SEC against each other, but it might not be every year. I think.
I'm assuming it will be every year just because the SEC wants that money
Yeah, you think they
coming
keep
in
that?
from
They
that
should.
game.
That would be fucked up if they took that game away every year. But yeah, you like Texas is ranked 3. You guys should be ranked higher than you are, in my opinion. 12 is a little low. But because you guys had such a bad year last year, I think people are a little hesitant to kind of give you guys your credit and then you guys not show up, which I think is like a lot of people think is going to happen. But I think OU wins this game. I'm like not semi confident. I'm like a little bit above semi confident. Uh, it's gonna be tough though. It's gonna be a tough game. Your defense is
It's gonna be
gonna have to
tough.
show up.
Yeah, I mean everything I've been looking at and reading is pretty much Texas is way higher favored than us going
Yeah,
into this game. Everybody has this kind of notion going on that Texas is more prepared going into the SEC than Oklahoma is, which I don't totally agree with, but I mean I could kind of see the argument.
I don't even think that was the case. Like coming into this year, it was like both teams are like underprepared, and just because Texas is like because they beat Alabama, they're like, oh, they're ready. Like Alabama's not good this year. They have no quarterback. They have a running back at quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean that's the big thing is the
So
Alabama game is what's giving everybody this edge
Texas high,
with Texas.
but they do have Quinn Ewers, and he is really fucking good. So like he could carry him.
Yeah, I mean OU has a top 5 defense and a top 5 offense based on what I was looking at earlier.
Yeah, and
Texas
based
doesn't have either one of those things, but Texas has played a
I think
little
they've
bit
had a
better
better
competition.
yeah.
So I mean you just got to kind of weigh things out. I think OU has a good chance of winning, but Texas does have great athletes at the receiver position.
Facts.
And if they can attack the secondary, it's going to be a tough game for OU. But if OU can lock down their receivers, I don't think they'll have much of a problem shutting down the run for Texas. And then
I
it's just
kind
a
of
matter, can we get the running game going on our
I
end?
kind of hope like Venables has kind of had some in his back pocket, like a defensive scheme for like just this game, like something they've been kind of practicing they haven't shown yet to kind of get Texas kind of off kilter, and then kind of just take advantage of it. Maybe not run that whole scheme like the whole game, like show up, start it, see if it's working. If it doesn't, kind of revert back to what you guys normally do. That could be kind of cool if they did something like that.
Well, that's what I'm thinking that's going to happen on the offensive end because I've had a lot of complaints about Jeff Levy's play calling this year. I felt like it's been really boring, but I'm kind of thinking maybe he's been saving a lot of his good stuff for this game because he's like, okay, we got Arkansas
Yeah,
State, SMU, Tulsa, like all these
get
teams
a
that
bunch of
really aren't that
gimmies.
good. We can run whatever and we'll probably still win. Then he's
Yeah,
going to pull out what he has, and then I mean we still have like Jackson Arnold could come in the game and do some things. Um, Him and Dylan Gabriel could probably be on the field at the same time if they really need to do it. I'll just say this: I hate Texas. I hate them so much.
nobody
Um,
likes Texas unless you're from Texas.
I've given them a lot of credit this season because they have played really good, but I hate them with every part of me. I hope we destroy them. I hope it's a bloodbath. It probably won't be, but I'm sick of hearing about Texas. I'm sick of the hype about Texas. I'm sick of hearing about how much better they are than OU. They haven't even won a Big 12 championship since 2009. We've won 8 since then. So
Yeah.
this notion that Texas is just like this superior school
I
just
think just
blows
because
my
they have like a
mind.
more recent national championship than you guys, like that, I think that's the only thing that's like giving them the edge.
Yeah, I mean it's like we've made the playoff 4 times. They haven't even
Yeah,
made the 14 playoffs once, and it's
they
already
haven't
almost
even
over.
they haven't even been close.
So I mean, whatever. I mean, if Texas wins, hats off to them.
Yeah,
I'll
agreed.
say I'll guarantee one thing: it's not going to be 49-0 again. I know
No
that for a
chance.
fact.
There's no chance. It might be 49-0 the other way if it's gonna happen.
I feel like it's probably going to be probably a shootout. If I had to guess, I think OU's defense just hasn't faced these kinds of athletes, but OU's offense has been putting points on the board for the most part.
See, for your sake, I hope it's not a shootout, but like for like good football's sake, I hope it is.
I think it's gonna be a good game. I can't wait for it. Did Who did Bama play this week? And I think it was a Mississippi State.
Yeah, they rolled them.
Yeah, 41-17.
No,
I
was
don't
it?
think Milrow threw too great, but I mean it's a win.
Actually, I picked Bama as like my best performance as a team this week. After coming off of this tough game at Ole Miss, and they should have. Everybody was like, "Oh, they should have lost." Da 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 da. Tough game in South Florida where they probably should have lost, and then losing to Texas. Like, so they haven't really been convincing. And then just to kind of come out on the road at Mississippi State and just absolutely dominate them is kind of like what they should do. And
Yeah,
it makes you seem like, or makes you think like, okay, they're a good team, and they didn't get blown out by Texas. They only lost by 10. So we can pump the brakes on Texas just a bit, and we can pump the brakes on Alabama just being an absolute dumpster fire this year just a bit. They're not good, but they're not as bad as we think. I think they still beat Texas A&M. So
yeah.
still,
I'll say
I,
this about Alabama. I think don't count them out. I think they still got a good playoff
yeah,
chance if they keep this up.
the schedule's tough. It's
Yeah,
it's not easy, but everybody on the schedules looked kind of weak in some areas. Like A&M is fucking A&M. Arkansas lost to BYU. They're not ranked. Tennessee, who'd they lose to?
I'm Florida.
Florida. And Florida looks like absolute ass, like we thought. So I don't know what the fuck's up with Tennessee. We that's a team we need more clarity on. LSU, they probably that might be a shootout there. I think LSU wins that game. I think LSU wins. Kentucky, who fucking knows? Blowout, and I actually think they lose to Auburn.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could definitely. I mean, this is like Auburn has been having a tough time in recent years beating them. They did have a pretty close game, I think, in 2021, but I think this is a year where Auburn has a really good shot at
They,
beating Bama. This is
they
probably
need
their
a
best shot they're gonna
fucking
have in a while.
they need a quarterback, man. They would have beat Georgia if they had an offense.
It was
Actually, no, I take that back. They're not beating Bama. Auburn has no offense. What the fuck am I talking about?
they got some fight in them.
They
I think
do, and it's
it's
a
possible.
rivalry. And Auburn, occasionally upset someone they probably shouldn't, like the fucking the kick return or the field goal return for a touchdown. Like that shows like the best play in college football history type thing.
That was one of I can't I watched that live. I couldn't believe
Yeah,
it.
like that's the
I think
type of
you
shit
called
that
me after that. Like it was like
yeah, that's the type of shit that happens in the Iron Bowl. So like I'm not saying like Auburn can't beat them, but I just now that I'm actually thinking about it, with the way that Auburn's offense has been running, is there's no chance.
I would say Bama should probably go into every single game favored. the rest of the way. Now, will they actually win these games? That's a different question, but they
Yeah.
should be the favorites moving forward. Um, I'm not too high on Alabama, but I'm not too low on them anymore. I'm just kind of like in a wait and see mode. They're another team. Clarity is what we need from them. See how consistently they could do that. And then we've already kind of talked about Notre Dame and Duke. Notre Dame's, they've been in these two close games. It's just kind of
I
a
I
can they
don't think
bounce
no.
back?
I don't like Notre Dame this year, man. From what I've seen, they're not it. They should have beat Ohio State. Couldn't fucking figure it out. Ohio State, who knows? And then last week, barely beating Duke when they probably shouldn't have. Like, fucking figure it out. Like, what are you doing? Sam Hartman is like, I don't know. He's not who he thought he was so far.
And it's
I
what's
mean,
crazy about Notre Dame is they got a tough schedule. Every game
yeah,
is like they got Louisville, they got USC still. They got some teams where it's not looking like cakewalk. So
they
if they
better
pull
get it
these wins
together.
out, they got a good chance at the playoffs if they could win out. But it's gonna be tough for them to win out with some of the teams that they're playing. Uh US.
USC, no defense, have an ass. Almost. Oh my god.
Yeah. So with USC, when you mentioned OU should be ranked higher, I think USC is one of those teams we should be ranked a little bit higher than. They just can't put a defense together. They were whooping Colorado, and then Colorado just went on this crazy run where I think they scored like 5 touchdowns in a row or something. It came down to a onside kick where Colorado could have won. How they recovered that.
Yeah, they were up 41-14 in the third quarter, and then let them come all the way back, only scoring another touchdown. I don't know what happened there, but I didn't watch the game, so I don't. Did they like pull the starters or some shit?
No, no,
Were they
I
just
went back and watched the
comfortable?
highlights. They just got way too comfortable, and then Colorado just kept scoring, and then they didn't get the onside kick at the end, and then USC just kind of kneeled it
Yeah,
down and ran the clock out.
I mean,
But it should have never been that close.
nah, especially when you're up that big, 41-14. Like that should be the end of the game score. Like I don't know how you're not scoring anymore. You have the best fucking quarterback in the country. You have the best offense in the country, some say, and Caleb Williams might be the best fucking quarterback to like ever play the fucking game. When all things are said and done, potentially. I'm not saying he is now, but he could be. He's got 6 touchdowns. Like, just keep going. Just keep going.
From
I
what it
don't
was
get it.
looking like, they did a really poor job of managing the clock once they're up. They were snapping the ball really early into the play clock. They weren't letting it wind down when they really should have. You're up 41-14 or whatever it was. So, I mean, at that point, you should just be trying to run the clock out, but they kept trying to pass it. And
The running back has 13 carries. They
that's what I'm
scored
saying.
40. They
Yeah.
scored 48 points, and this man has 1 touchdown. Like, or at least 1 rushing touchdown. So like, what the fuck are you just? If this is the dude, just give him the ball. Like, let him run. Let him run. Maybe a little screen or some shit. Just keep the clock going. I don't know. Maybe they was like trying to just fuck off and do whatever, thinking they could just run some random offense and close the game out. But it didn't seem like it worked.
It puts the playoffs and the championship hopes for USC in doubt. I can't count him out just because Caleb Williams is so good. I feel like he could drag a team to the playoffs, but
Yeah, I mean, if they could just do this every week, like it really don't fucking matter if you have a defense. Like at the end of the day, all that matters is that you win. Like we talk bad about a lot of teams when they win, because they didn't win how they should have, or USC the spread was like 21.5 coming into the game because they didn't win by 21.5. We're like, oh, USC's bad. Yeah, they might be. They could just have no defense and still win. Like fuck it, why not? That's how the Chiefs be rocking like that sometimes. They ain't
yeah, I
got no
mean that's
defense.
true.
They got Patrick Mahomes. Like, what the fuck else you need?
This
You miss.
defense is really bad though.
Yeah, but coming into the game, everybody's like, "Oh, USC has a defense. Like they got to figure it out." Alex Grinch he's got it. They're gonna shut Colorado down, like Oregon did. They have a same type of defense, or not same type, but they have a good defense like Oregon. It's gonna be the same type of game. Sight.
No, this is a
Alex
really bad
Grinch
defense.
needs to be fired like fucking Saturday.
Yeah, no, Alex Grinch is
Like you
like
might as well. Like fuck it. Like what do you have to lose? Like just get rid of him. Like obviously you're giving up 41 points. Like fuck it. Why not?
I think he's the thing that's keeping USC from really being true contenders. And then you got to think USC is moving to the Big Ten next year. Like this is not
They're
going to fly
playing
in the Big
defenses
Ten,
next year. They're playing real defenses next year.
and they're losing Caleb Williams most likely unless he stays for another year.
He might. We can touch on that at the end of the year, or not the end of the year, the end of the episode. What Caleb Williams is talking about. They might be speaking craziness.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a good chance Caleb Williams is back next one. I would say a good chance, but it's like
There's like it's like a 50-50 maybe. I think it's a little maybe a little higher than good.
but I mean, they're going to the Big Ten. It's not going to get any easier, so they need to get that
No.
defense figured out. Oregon,
Did they play this week?
I believe they played Cal in, I believe it was, Stanford. Stanford.
Actually, I picked Stanford to win that game because it was I did like a live bet. It was super close, not super close, but Stanford was like within a reasonable spread. I think it was like right about here. I was like, oh shit, it's like almost halftime and Oregon's not blowing them out. So I was like, okay, is Bo Nix hurt? I wasn't watching the game, so I was like, we just start 5 on Stanford to pull the upset. Absolutely not. So this is like another thing. Like teams keep fucking doing this. They keep coming out and playing like dog ass up until halftime and looking real shit, and then blowing teams out the second half. So like, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Oregon always does this. They always do this. They're losing this week anyway, so it's fine. We don't have to talk about them anymore.
This is they're definitely their biggest shot of. Actually, is that next week? Because I feel like I didn't see that on
No, the game days. I'm pretty sure they're 10-14.
10-14. That's next week. Yeah. Because this week's
Oh
like
no, Bedlam. It's at Bedlam or not Bedlam. Red River Rivalry. That's where game day is at.
Yeah, I was about to say like I don't think that game's coming up. I feel like I would have heard about this because this is the first I'm hearing of this. That's gonna be a huge game next week.
Yeah, it is. It was back to back like huge weekends for like if that's the only ranked matchup each weekend, I'll take it.
I feel like we're about to hit a good little streak of just big matchups every week.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm so excited. Washington's they gotta beat them. There's no way. There's no way.
Penix Washington looked really bad against Cal though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say really bad, but it was not what you thought it was gonna be. Or was it Cal? Is that who they played last?
Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona 31. They looked really good against Cal. Let me correct that.
Yeah, I didn't watch this one either, so I don't know what the fuck happened here. Maybe somebody can put in the comments if they're a Washington fan. It looked like maybe there was just kind of. Oh no, that doesn't make sense either.
Penix didn't even throw a touchdown.
He still threw for almost fucking 400, and they're still only within a score. So that's kind of weird.
75% completion. It was just it's a weird final score. But I mean, it does look like Arizona got that last touchdown in garbage time with only 1:08 left. But I mean, if they got the onside kick,
could have been a different story.
They could have been an overtime game. So then they're coming off of that, going into Oregon. It's a good thing they got the bye week coming off of a performance like that to kind of reset, get prepared, because Oregon's not. It's going to be the toughest team they face so far. It's going to be the biggest matchup for both teams, and we're going to find out. I still think even after that game, we're still not going to have a whole lot of clarity because like that's the only other
big team that either team's played, other than Oregon playing Colorado, which is starting to look better for them, with them almost beating USC. So
Colorado is not a joke. People.
No, I like Colorado, man. They're good. That offense, like fuck the defense and fuck the O line. Shador don't even need an O line. That man is going absolutely fucking crazy with basically no O line. He's the most pressured quarterback. He's the most sacked quarterback in the country, and it's still like similar stats to Penix and Caleb Williams. Like the dude's crazy. Like if they had an O line, they could be undefeated.
Yeah, they're a fantastic offense.
Fuck the defense. USC's doing the same shit. Why don't fuck it? But they're trying to build a defense, and they have some guys on the D, just not enough.
Well, I mean, you also got to take into account that Travis Hunter hasn't been playing the
Do you
past
think
2 weeks.
if he was playing this game, they win?
I mean, if it's that close, I think Travis Hunter might
I
have been
don't.
the
I don't see why
difference.
not. He could potentially get an interception or a fucking touchdown to win the game, like in any form or fashion. It's crazy.
So once he comes back, I think Colorado is going to be a trap team for everybody in the Pac-12 who's
Yeah,
coming across them. They're the people are kind of writing off Colorado, like wait, they don't have their best player.
second best player.
Arguably, I mean, I don't two different. I guess it's
You
comparing
can't.
apples to
I guess
oranges.
you really can't. It's a receiver, half a
Slash
receiver,
defender.
half a receiver against a quarterback, and then you got half a cornerback against a quarterback. So it's like which portion of Travis Hunter are you able to measure against Shador? Like
Yeah.
you can't take both because it's I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the comparison. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So I guess we're going into our top six. So we'll start with you. Who do you have at number six?
I have Ohio State at 6.
What?
Dude, my shit's a little crazy, just a little bit. I changed it up. Yeah, Ohio State's 6.
Why do you have Ohio State at six?
Well, they barely beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame almost lost to Duke, and then they didn't play this weekend. I'm not holding like they didn't play this weekend against them, but so far they haven't looked, too great. I think the teams ahead of them are better and should be rightfully ahead of them.
That might be the biggest hot take I've heard all season.
I'm starting to get a little drunk. We'll get this going.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty drunk at this moment too.
I'm just going off. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
We're bringing the remotely wasted or the wasted back and remotely
Yeah.
wasted this episode. I'm a few
Actually,
beers in.
I'm getting fucking hot. I gotta take my hoodie off.
Um, yeah, that's a crazy hot take. Ohio State at six. That's a
Yeah.
that's a hot take, man.
I mean, like
Um,
arguably all these top 9 teams are all undefeated, so you can kind of just mix and match any of them, and within reason, they could all be in some spot, maybe outside of number one. You can't put Penn State at number one or like USC or Oregon, but like you could put them at like 2 or 3, maybe.
I mean, I'll say
All
this:
right, what do you got? What do you got?
I Penn State at six.
Okay, see, fuck
Um,
off.
so I actually dropped Washington out just because they struggled a little bit against Arizona. So I mean, Penn State they actually didn't start off too great against Northwestern. It was actually kind of not a good look,
They keep
but
doing
I
that
think they
though.
looked a little bit better than Washington did. So that's why I put it.
I'm pretty sure they've struggled at the beginning of like almost every game, like outside of Delaware, obviously, but like let's see, going into half, 14-7 over West Virginia. Going into half at Illinois, 16-7. That one's not too bad. Iowa, 10-0. Iowa has a good defense. Northwestern going in half, tied at 10. Like it's like they can't get the offense going in the first half. And if they roll into a big game, so like I said Penn State was going to beat Ohio State, and I still think they will, but they can't be doing this shit going into Ohio State or into the Ohio State game.
Yeah, did we figure out is Penn State Ohio State that's in Ohio State this year, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it's in Penn State. No, okay, I'm
At
wrong.
Ohio State.
I'm
Because I mean
fucking.
Penn State, honestly,
I could have sworn it was in Penn State. Maybe the Michigan game's in Penn State.
that might be what it is.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of.
Because I will say this, I think Penn State has the best home crowd in all of college football by a significant margin, in my opinion.
Arguably, yeah. That fucking
The
that stadium
whiteout, like,
that
that's
stadium
just,
gets crazy. It's just a bunch of drunk college kids, and because it's crazy. Like looking at Penn State's crowd and then looking up at like another, good crowd. It's like the types of crowd are different. Like the demographics. Like Penn State seems like it's all young college kids, and then you look at like I don't know, Florida State when we have sellout crowds. It's different. Like our shit's different, but it's like different types of people. It's weird.
yeah, no, I was actually having that same thought this weekend when I was at the OU game. I was like, some of these smaller schools have these really big student sections and it gives it kind
Yeah,
of a different vibe. At OU, it's a lot of families and a lot of
older.
older people. I mean,
Yeah,
there is a student
they still
section.
get loud. but
It gets very loud, but it's a different crowd. Like
it's different
same
type of
like a
loud. It's different energy. Like Penn State brings an entire different energy from their crowd, and yeah, if you're not ready for it, or if your offense ain't ready for it, there's expect all them fucking false starts and not being able to delay games and shit because you can't hear.
something about a Penn State crowd just gets me in the college football mood. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I like Penn State, Happy Valley, like that. I've always liked Penn State. They just fucking never do anything, never. Like, and this year, I'm not really even expecting them to do anything this year, but I hope, I like them.
It'd be nice if they did.
They One thing about Penn State, they need to fucking they need to change the uniforms. All right, I'm sick of this goddamn. And same with Alabama. I hate it. I hate the
I love
fucking.
Penn State's uniforms. I love
It's
the
shit's
uniforms.
trash. I can't stand it. It's just not my thing.
I was
Alabama, I
having
don't
I was
like
having a
it.
conversation with a friend this weekend, and I said, out of like, because I mean, obviously, like the best uniforms are the
Florida State,
ones well,
obviously.
Oregon probably, like the teams that change their uniform like every week probably got the best uniforms. But I'm like, out of traditional uniforms, I'm like Penn State might have the
I,
best
I'm
like
going.
traditional uniform.
I'm going like Notre Dame for traditional uniforms, and even I don't like their shit. I just like the gold helmets.
The
But
gold helmets are nice
their
though.
shit's that shit's fire. But fuck God, put the names on the backs. Fuck off, man. Stop being selfish. Nobody knows who's on the fucking field. Like I remember I was watching. I think it was a Notre Dame game. Like the commentators were like, "Oh, who is that?" Like they didn't fucking know because there was like two number 18s or some shit, and they was like, "I don't even know which one it is because there's one on offense and defense." So like it's so confusing for just like the average fan to watch some of these games and like you don't know who the fucking players are unless you watch them a lot. It's annoying.
That is a good point.
It's annoying.
I love the classic look of the Penn
What
State
other
uniform.
what other teams have classic uniform? It's Alabama, Penn State, Notre Dame,
Oklahoma is pretty classic. Nebraska,
USC.
USC, um,
Right.
Florida kind of got their classic
Well,
uniform.
I mean, if you say classic, is it like they just never change, or
That's what I mean. Like they
yeah,
just stick. They don't have no crazy alternative like
bro?
uniforms.
I wish we'd change our shit back. I'm not huge on our new uniforms.
I like that. I like the new
They're
Florida State
okay, but we,
uniforms.
we need to change our fucking logo back. That's for damn sure. Our new logo sucks.
Honestly, I didn't even notice till somebody pointed it out. But once it got pointed, I think it was you that pointed it out.
Yeah,
I
the
was like,
old
yeah,
one's
the
way better.
older one is way better.
Yeah, we did this like rebrand for no fucking reason.
Teams be doing that.
Change it back.
You know who has really underrated uniforms, and I hate to say this, but Oklahoma State.
I like them.
They got great
They
uniforms.
they kind of rock the Oregon like different combos type get up. Like it's like they'll have like the orange helmets and like the black tops, or they'll rock like black helmets and like orange tops, or something weird, like some weird fucking variations. They always look pretty cool.
Yeah, it always does. We got off on a big tangent right
Not fucking
there.
uniforms, fucking Silas and socks.
Shout out Silence.
Fucking bot. I'm just kidding. I love you, Silas.
That's
All right,
funny.
number 5.
Five. I got Michigan. Who you got?
I got FSU at 5.
Wait. No, I have LSU at 5 as well, actually.
Yeah, I don't really see a reason to put us any higher. We didn't play this week, and other than the LSU win, we haven't looked great, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the reason I actually moved. This is the first time this season FSU hasn't been in my top 4. The reason I moved them down, one, they didn't play this weekend, so you kind of just get a little. It's not a big deal, but you just didn't play this weekend, so not any reason to move up. And then LSU losing to Ole Miss kind of hurts the LSU win just a little bit.
Yeah,
So
I just
I move them down, but
I
they
just
have
can't see Ohio State being above us. Like they have one good win, and it's at Notre Dame.
I guess I think
And
my
Notre
my
Dame almost
reasoning.
just lost. They should have lost.
See, I think my reasoning is I think Notre Dame's better than what you think they are. I think Duke was really good, and then
Yeah, Duke is good. Duke is good.
the way I view it is like, in my opinion, Notre Dame barely lost to a great team, and they barely won against great teams. So I think they're still a pretty good team. So that's
Fair
why
enough.
I'm a little bit high on I can't even remember what I was talking about.
Them Ohio State over us.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
That's why I'm a little high.
We moved to number 4. What do you got? I got
uh,
Washington.
4, I have so Washington actually got knocked out of my top 6 this week. So at 4, I have Michigan. Michigan looked very dominant against Nebraska.
What the fuck do you have about Michigan? Crazy, actually. All right, yeah, that's fair. They did look pretty good. I was like kind of concerned about the Nebraska game. I was seeing a lot of people on Reddit like, "Oh, Nebraska's gonna win this game for like this one fucking random reason," and I was like thinking about it. I was like, okay, maybe. And then I was like, nah, Nebraska is fucking. They have no quarterback. They have nothing. Nebraska has nothing. They should just disband that program. Disband them. Get them out of here. Tired of hearing about Nebraska. They're fucking.
Matt Rose gonna bring them back. It's gonna be a couple years though.
Yeah, I think he will. But right now they're a bottom feeder. Nebraska beating anybody should never come up because it's not happening. So I don't even know where someone could fathom Nebraska beating Michigan. So okay, yeah. But I think Michigan's better than a lot of these teams up here in the top. They're just super well rounded. They have a lot of the same players returning from last year. They have a good coach.
So I got a question for you. Why do you have Washington so high after that type of performance against Arizona?
See, I think Washington they've had better performances so far in like not like wins over like FSU and Ohio State. Like they've just been performing like better in my opinion. Like they're firing. You know what I'm saying? The defenses I'm still a little questionable on.
Yeah.
And they don't have like bigger wins than FSU or Ohio State. I just think they're a better team. They're well rounded. They did have a rough game this past weekend on paper, but other than that, like they haven't really even became close to looking like anything other than a dominant team. So, like I said, FSU we've had some close wins where we barely won. We probably should have lost both of those games, and then like I said, Ohio State.
That's fair enough. So going into number 3, I got kind of a hot take at number 3. I moved Georgia down to all the way down to number 3. They've had 2 bad games this season where
I would have moved them off, but I couldn't bring myself to do it because I've been talking about it every week because they're the defending champions. So I can't take them off number 1 till they lose. And I wanted to. I did. And then I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck am I doing? So yeah, I still have Georgia 1.
He said I got to stick to it. I can't back off of it.
I wanted to so bad. I had them sitting at like fucking 5 or 6 or something like that. Like something crazy.
They just look. This doesn't look like the regular Georgia. They look beatable. They look really beatable.
They do look beatable. They have no offense. They have a tight end.
Yeah, Carson Beck. He's looking like a good quarterback, but yeah, outside of Bowers, they have nobody. He has nobody to throw to.
We can talk about that game real quick. This fucking game. So it's tied 20-20, and then they got the ball and they're driving. And so like the first half, I think Bowers had I want to say like 4 fucking yards receiving like this entire first half. And then coming out this half is where he put up like all of this. So obviously they have no other fucking threat like in the receiving game. You know, the running back didn't go crazy. 76 yards is respectable, but it's not like, oh, we're getting gashed by the run. This is it. This is all they got. This last drive, he's just fucking cooking it to Bowers. Double team him, man. Bring the safety up to help the fucking linebacker or something. Do something. Because
he's absolutely crazy how crazy open he gets
every fucking time that entire drive.
Open. And you can't tackle him. No, you cannot tackle him.
I like him. He's really good. He might be one of the better tight ends to come out of college in a while. But
yeah, I'd imagine he's maybe a top 10 pick. Like, it just depends on what the needs are for the NFL teams. But
it's just so annoying because like Auburn's defense played so well all game. Like, look at their quarterback. Dude has got 92 yards rushing and 82 yards passing. Like, obviously the offense ain't doing dick. This is all defense by Auburn. I think they forced 2 turnovers by Georgia, and I think they scored like shortly after one of these turnovers, if I'm not mistaken, but I could be. It's just so frustrating. Like you're getting gashed by one player. Like, make an adjustment, dude. Call a timeout. Do something. It's the last fucking drive of the game, and you're tied. Like all they need is a field goal.
Yeah, I think this
Annoying.
one thing I will say, positive about Auburn is just the fact that they got this close shows how much of a difference Hugh Freeze is making
Yeah.
with this team. And then their interim coach last year, Cadillac Williams, is still on the staff. So he kind of helped the transition as well. I think Auburn has a really good future if they could just get a quarterback. It's
Bring Bo
crazy to
Nix
think they
back.
had Bo Nix. Like,
And
yeah, it's crazy to think
he
they
was
had him.
shit at Auburn too, which is like, okay, like maybe that Auburn team was really bad. It's looking like it because Bo Nix is cooking.
Yeah,
Boy,
it
cooking.
was. Yeah, he is. So who did you have at number three? Since I had Georgia at number three,
I got Texas.
Texas. Okay.
We'll just keep moving on. I don't think they're gonna be
Well,
there next week.
Texas. Yeah, we've already kind of talked about Texas.
That
Um,
Alabama win, I feel like it's pretty big, but it's like it's bigger than it really is. It's just that one win's bigger than like both FSU's win, like big wins. It's bigger than the Ohio State win at Notre Dame, and then it's bigger than any win Washington has. And then I can't put them over Michigan because Michigan's obviously the better team. They just haven't played super convincingly. And then I can't put them at one because Georgia, they're not coming off the spot till they lose.
yeah, I actually I hate to say this, but I moved Texas up to number two. Just because I mean Kansas. See, the thing with Kansas though is Jalen Daniels didn't play. He always misses these big games.
I don't
Like
even think
I'm
he
not
had
saying
like
they
a
would have
significant
won.
injury. He had some sort
It
of
was like a
like
back strain or something.
yeah, get your fucking ass out there, throw the ball, bro. Come on, man. Like I know you gotta use your back and your hips to fucking fling it, but God, man, they got
it,
absolutely fucking massacred.
it's so frustrating because the past 2 years Kansas has started out so hot. You're like, okay, Kansas might be like for real, and then he misses like a game or
And then
two, and
they
I
would
mean,
get beat the fuck down.
then they win after he comes back, but it's like at that point the
It's too
damage has
late.
already been done.
Yeah, that's like fucking Utah. Same scenario.
So frustrating, but yeah, I mean Texas. I think Kansas was a pretty good team. They
They
handled them pretty
beat the shit
well.
out of them.
They do have the Bama win.
And they've been coming out slow too. So this was like some good clarity on Texas. They finally was able to get going because like some of these games, like they were coming in like this Wyoming game, like 10 to 7.5 against Wyoming. Like what
At
the
the end of
fuck?
the third quarter, it was ten
Yeah.
ten.
Like this is that was like okay, like Texas, maybe they're not that good. And then everybody was like, well, fucking Alabama's obviously not that good. Or maybe Wyoming's just really good. And then they've come in playing Baylor, going 7-3 into the second quarter, and then they started pulling away. That's what you like to see right here. Like the first quarter, that's fine. You're getting going. This is what you want to see. They just haven't been doing it, and then they finally come in and just blow the fucking doors off Kansas. Still coming in a half slow. Can't do that this week.
Yeah, I was at the OU game, and they were actually playing that on the jumbotron, like the Kansas Texas game, like
Oh,
before
that's
before the OU game started,
yeah,
and it was like pretty close for a minute. It was a while, it was still close, and then you could just see uh Texas pull away, and they just took it off the screen. They just started playing like Ole Miss LSU or
yeah.
something.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they're hoping to get the crowd hyped up off of a Texas loss, but it just wasn't in the cards that week. So I'm assuming you have Michigan at two then.
Yeah,
No, yeah, we've kind of already touched on Michigan. They had a really
yeah.
dominant win. I mean, they just haven't played anybody, but overall they've looked fantastic. I think they struggled maybe a little bit against Rutgers, maybe.
And I think it was Bowling Green. Their fucking quarterback threw like three
Yeah, it was
interceptions.
Bowling Green. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
Like with this, they went to fucking half 14-6, but like that's McCarthy's fault. Like Blake Corum's fucking running for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like just give the fucking dude the ball. Like stop throwing it. Just stop.
It's
And
really
he can run
interesting.
too. Like he can run. Like
He's mobile. Yeah, he's a
yeah,
mobile quarterback.
just run the read option. Fuck it.
What is crazy to me is like I was kind of looking at some
And
Heisman
see,
lists and stuff.
they don't play anybody till Penn State. So like we're not gonna they can go into Penn State and just get blown the fuck out because we're like, oh, Michigan's a fucking powerhouse. And they go to Penn State and we'll see.
And
Like,
that's kind of why I'm a little bit hesitant to move them a little bit up. But I mean, they just look so good though. They every game they come out
yeah.
just looking great. Defense looks great. Offense looks great. I am a little
And-
confused about the hype behind McCarthy. Like I'm seeing him going in like the first round, like top 10
no
in the
chance.
draft. Like in all the
No
mock drafts,
fucking
he's
way.
up there. And then I was reading this Heisman list. I can't remember if it was like Fox Sports or something, but they had him at like number 4. I'm like, how is he at number
Pick
4?
pick number 4?
Like no, for
Four?
Heisman, like in the Heisman
Oh,
rank,
oh.
which I think
What?
is even more ridiculous than him going into
Hold the
like the
fuck
top
up.
10.
Hold up. What's this man even? All right, we'll just hold on. That's not what I wanted to do. We'll open that up and then we'll compare him with our Heisman top 5 and see if his shit's even comparable. I doubt it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because I haven't even looked at his stats. He's just like when you're thinking Heisman, McCarthy's not like even in the fucking ballpark.
He's
It's
not.
Blake Corum like on that team. It's Corum.
Yeah, I mean that's who I'm thinking of. I mean, but some people have him up there. So obviously,
Fucking
you have Georgia at number 1. I have
yeah.
Ohio State at number
I
1.
hate to put them at number 1 because they're not the fucking number 1 team right now. They're not playing like it. There's a defending champs though, and I'm sticking by my guns on that one. I might flip flop on some shit that I don't even realize because I drink and forget what I say, but it's irrelevant. At least I stick by this. Okay, so it's just, I really wish they would have lost. Like college football needed them to lose.
I couldn't take a Georgia three-peat. Like, oh my God. Like, and the thing is, like, I don't even hate Georgia. I just hate seeing the same team win over
Yeah.
and over and over.
It's cool if you're a Georgia fan. Like, fuck it, yeah, hell yeah, go nuts. But it's just boring.
You made this comment, I think last year, where you're like, I hate when we go through a whole season and then at the end, like a team like Georgia or Bama wins because it just feels like you wasted your whole the whole
I wasted
season.
my
Like,
fucking time. Like, we might as well just talk about Georgia every fucking episode. Like, why not? They're probably gonna just win it again. Like, and they probably will. Like, it's a good chance. They got a good team. They recruit well. They have they got like an NFL coaching staff. Like the Georgia is well built, and they're not gonna fucking go away this year or next year. They're gonna stick around. I think they'll be around longer than Bama is. Because Bama's, I think they're kind of tail end of their dynasty. But I'm hoping Georgia just kind of falls off. Please.
that's kind of my hope as well.
As long as like Ohio State or Alabama don't pick up the throne again, like whatever. Anybody else, other than like Miami and Clemson and Florida, anybody else?
It's kind of funny because I kind of made a mistake here by I kind of punished some teams for not playing a game, but I left Ohio State at number 1. I don't know. They've just looked.
No, the
to
fuck
me.
they have not. You get out of here.
They've looked amazing this year.
No, they have not.
They got Marvin Harrison Jr. He's on fire.
Yeah, that dude's crazy.
Kyle McCord starting to come into his own. And then this is also, we went on this little tangent earlier about how I just think Notre Dame is really good. And that's why I value Ohio State so much at this moment. But yeah, I have Ohio State at number 1. I know there's some Michigan fans that be in the comments. I'm sorry. I think you guys have a great team too. I hope you guys beat them. I don't even like Ohio State.
You got Ohio State at number 1, beating Indiana by 20. Youngstown State by this 35-7. Yeah, they blew Western Kentucky out, and then barely squeaking out a win in Notre Dame. Like, okay, let's check this out. Indiana's 2-3. What the fuck is that? What is this?
They're hiding their playbook.
What is this? What is this, Nick? This is not a number 1 team. 21.
They were holding them back. They were letting them
at home. Yeah, okay, I'll give it to you.
They did that on purpose. It was
McCord. This was his
Michigan.
first game. It's his first game. They weren't going, but based off of their wins, like they got Notre Dame, and I'm done with Notre Dame. I can't see Ohio State being even in top 3.
Number 1 team in the nation.
You might as well just switch to Ohio State. Fuck it. They'll probably win a championship before.
There's only one Ohio.
The Ohio State University. Like, get the fuck out of here. I hate when people say that shit. Like, yeah, there's only, I guess, because you got Ohio fucking, what Ohio Bobcats or whatever that team is. University of Ohio.
Yeah. The other OU. They have
There's
the
like
same logo, I believe.
I think there's like 3 Ohio teams, right?
I mean, Toledo's in Ohio.
And I'm thinking of like I'm thinking of like a city somewhere that it doesn't relate to having a football team. I'm like, there's another Ohio, but
Cincinnati, Ohio.
yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I'm sure they have a college, but they're probably division.
Cincinnati. What do you mean? Cincinnati
Yeah,
Bears.
but they're not like Ohio, like like University of Ohio
Yeah,
or
no. Oh, so
like
you're thinking another team that has
because
Ohio in
they're
the
like
name.
the Ohio State. Like there's more than one fucking Ohio like team. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're gonna be the like okay, we're the Florida State University. Like shut the fuck up. Shut
Yeah,
up.
no.
It's
And
stupid.
I like Michigan way better than Ohio State.
Yeah,
I
me
just
too.
don't think they played anybody. And like just as my like as a fan of college football, I prefer to see Michigan win a national championship. Ohio State's like there's a few teams I just would hate to see win a championship.
They're one of them.
Bama, Georgia, Ohio State,
Texas,
Texas, like that's probably USC. Like,
Oregon. I if Oregon wins, I'm done. I'm done with college football. I'm never fucking. We're not doing the podcast anymore. I'm done.
uh, so before we hop into our Heisman top five, I think it's a good time for a bathroom break.
Yeah,
I don't know
whatever.
if you want to rotate these or
You can go now. I'll just fucking.
yeah. You bullshit the crowd. And this is like a classic remotely wasted episode.
I'll hit my most disappointing performance. I got fucking. I had Auburn against Georgia. I think we touched on that already. Yeah, we did. They blew the fucking game. Absolute dog ass. Sick of Auburn. Absolutely sick. And then we got player of the week. I had fucking Kentucky's running back. I bet Nick has. Who does he have as player of the week? I'm gonna guess. I guess Caleb Williams. That's probably where he went. Or Dylan Gabriel, because Dylan Gabriel had 5 touchdowns. I might as well just pull him up because that's Nick's a homer. Guaranteed. We'll get Nick over there. Dig it in the fridge. I like how he has one poster on his entire wall. Just one. Shit's bare.
What was that?
I'm talking shit on your wall in the corner. Like, you got one poster. It's all bare. You just got one poster in the middle. It's fucking hilarious. At least that's a Star Wars one. I'll take it.
It's a
You need to
definitely
get
a
some.
man cave, very
You need,
bare.
you need to get some sports stuff hung up, like maybe like a little OU flag back there on that wall behind you.
Yeah, I was thinking about
That'd
that.
be kind of tight.
Yeah, I mean my living room's just kind of a it's a mixed bag. I have a clock
He's got a
over there.
futon, and that's it.
The
Just
clock
kidding.
is like hung up crooked, so I mean and I just left it.
Hey, at least it's up. It's
I'm like
upside down.
somebody who has OCD is gonna come in and be so frustrated about it, and I think it's hilarious.
You should just hang it upside down and just leave it. He'd be like, "Oh shit, I didn't even know." All right, I'm gonna go to the restroom.
All right.
I was
I
talking
will
about
entertain the crowd.
I like was like, oh yeah, my most disappointing performance was Auburn, and then player of the week was Kentucky running back, and then I was like, I bet Nick went with Dylan Gabriel for his player of the week. A little homer.
I didn't. I didn't. No, we
Oh,
did play of the week. It was the Kentucky guy.
okay. I was supposed to say it was either Caleb Williams or Dylan Gabriel if you went somebody else.
I finally didn't go quarterback. I'm a quarterback guy. Everybody knows this.
Everybody's a fucking quarter. That's all you ever like. That's all you ever able to see. You have to dig so hard to find like non-quarterback like
Yeah.
performers. It's unless you're watching the game, you're like, yo, that guy's crazy. All right, I'll be right back.
All right, guys. Let's see. This is a classic remotely wasted episode. Last season, we used to get so drunk on these episodes, and it would make no sense during a lot of the portions. And I think that's what kind of made the show really fun. We haven't really had the chance to drink on the podcast this season. So it's been a little bit more professional, which, is probably a little bit better because we have been getting a lot more subscribers. But I think with these new subscribers kind of seeing this vibe, I think it makes it a lot more fun. We're not on here just reading off stats, doing kind of what everybody else does. We don't necessarily have the time to keep track of all that. So I think we're just getting on here, having fun. This is a good way for us to keep in touch. I hope you guys interact with us a little bit more, comment, argue with us, argue with each other. That's kind of what I want to see. Just more arguments. I want to see arguments in the comments. There's some episodes last year where we had some arguments in the comments. That's what I want to see. I want to see some arguments in the comments. Argue with us, argue with each other.
I'll argue with you about anything and probably lose.
All right. So we're going into Heisman top 5, which you just mentioned who you thought my player of the week was at number 5. I got Dylan Gabriel. Is that who you got at number 5?
No, I pulled them up.
Or you just have them pulled up because you know I was gonna.
I pulled them up like while you were in the bathroom because I was like, oh, this is probably Nick's player of the week, and I already have Caleb Williams, so I was like, oh, just get ahead of the.
Yeah, I mean, have a Dylan Gabriel.
He's fucking cooking.
He's fourth, fourth in QBR, 15. He's thrown 15 touchdowns. I believe that's like 7th in the country, or I think it might actually be 4th. I think he's 7th in passing yards. So he's just kind of top 5 everything. He's having a great season. People really just didn't have a lot to say about him last year because he was hurt, and then we just didn't play very well. And I think people just kind of assumed he wasn't that good, and I think he's proven everybody wrong. He might be a really good quarterback.
Maybe he's sitting here at 7 when, like, you know, passing stats overall. But you got this dude at fucking, was that Georgia Southern?
Yeah. And Hawaii. I mean,
yeah, so those are like, so if you take those two out, he's sitting at like 5.
Yeah, the Power 5, he's like the 5th best quarterback in the country. And I think if he could pull off a big win against Texas, that's just
I don't see why he ain't in the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, he's gonna be on the map if he has a big game against, and he's getting touchdowns on the ground too. He's got 4 on the ground, so he has 19 total touchdowns on the season to only 2 interceptions.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like you like kind of I was like coming, I was like yards. I was like, oh, okay, what the fuck happened here? And then you scroll over, you're like 4 touchdowns. You're like, well, fuck the yards. That's why I was like, oh, this one might be a question mark. You know, come like Heisman rankings. He's got 4 rushing touchdowns. He probably could have bagged some against Tulsa, but why? And then, yeah, he's got 4 passing touchdowns in that game. So why run?
Yeah, I believe this is the. So I mean, this is our second season.
He's playing really good. I like Dylan Gabriel. I always did. And then last year he had a little bit of a shaky year, and everybody was kind of like calling for his head for no reason really. The team was just kind of.
He didn't have he didn't have offensive like weapons to really throw to outside of Marvin Mims. I mean, he had Drake Stoops. Drake Stoops has improved so much this season. Drake Stoops was he was never bad, but like this year he's just taking it to another level. I think he's already got like 4 or 5 touchdowns on the season. Like he's ranked like top 25 in receiving touchdowns.
I feel like he could be like the new like Hunter Renfrow type guy.
Yeah,
it's kind of the vibe by like Wes Welker, Renfrow type thing. Not like. He's not gonna like wow you like over the top. He's just gonna they kind of find that pocket of space to get open to get the yards, and then out in space is kind of they can get you. Is Stoops like that type of guy? Like is he
yeah, that's
quick out in space?
Exactly how he yeah, he's pretty quick out and he could juke people out. I'm not saying he's like just the best yards after catch guy, but I mean he I've seen him do it, and you would think a guy who is like the son of a coach wouldn't have as much heart as he does.
He does.
But he's like he doesn't seem like he was spoiled at all in his childhood or anything like that. He's just a fiery competitor.
Yeah.
Back to Dylan Gabriel. I think he's having a great season. This is the first time this is our second season doing college football episodes.
First time he's been in our Heisman rankings.
It's been the first time he's the first time he's been in my Heisman, which is crazy because I'm a homer,
I actually forgot about Dylan Gabriel, so like I could potentially even move him over one of the guys I got. I don't know, I double check the stats and compare him. Maybe he's arguably better on paper.
There were several guys that I could have maybe put ahead of him. But I'm just like he's doing good.
I don't think I changed up my 5. Like I don't think I took anybody out, added anybody. I think I just moved some people around.
Yeah,
because the 5 I think the 5 I got or the 5 it's gonna be at the end of the year. Maybe other than Dylan Gabriel, I think Quinn Ewers and Dylan Gabriel are like interchangeable.
Whoever wins this game probably is going to be the one.
Exactly. I got Quinn Ewers right there at 5. It's just the Alabama win. That's it. He's having a good year. He's cooking. He's got 10 touchdowns, fucking 13, almost 1,400 yards compared to. So Gabriel's got everything more than Quinn Ewers. It's just Quinn Ewers has a big win, which in the Heisman rankings is valued way more than stats.
Yeah, absolutely. And it should
Like,
be. It should be.
Like fucking Dylan Gabriel could finish with like 10 more touchdowns than Quinn Ewers and like, 500 more yards passing. And if Quinn Ewers fucking wins out, then he would win over Dylan Gabriel if it came down to like them two type thing. So after this weekend, whichever one loses is out and the other one that wins is in.
Yeah, most likely. Unless somebody redeems their loss, because OU and Texas are more than likely going to play each other twice in the Big 12 championship. But I still think whoever wins this they're just going to be the favored person going forward, especially if they have like a
Like
huge
number
game.
one favored?
Oh no, like between the two.
Oh, okay. I
Between
was like,
the two.
hey, yo, okay.
No.
I fucks with it, but I don't know.
They
We'll
might
see.
move themselves up to like top 3.
There's two is locked. 1 and 2 is locked.
That's what I'm saying. They can move themselves up to the third
Actually,
spot. I don't know if Penix is locked, honestly, if he loses a couple games.
I really want to like Penix and Caleb Williams are locked, and I also want to say like Shador is locked at 3, and I don't even have Shador in my 5, like because he's got 2 losses, but that motherfucker's stats are insane.
I mean, if Colorado, only loses like 1 to 2 more games, he's probably going to be at the ceremony.
I don't have him in my 5 right now.
I don't either, but like
he probably should be.
He
like,
should be based on stats
alone. It's just they got 2 losses, so it's like at this point it's hard to put him in there. But
the Heisman's a weird award because it's
I hate the Heisman. I don't even
because there's so many factors into the Heisman. It's not just about the stats; it's about like the team. It's like almost like a team award to a certain extent. Like if your team's not good, you're probably not going to win unless it's just an anomaly, kind of like how Lamar Jackson won when Louisville wasn't that great.
But he was a star. Like the dude's just making plays. The dude's hurdling people and fucking running for touchdowns. Like the dude, he's going crazy. Like you can't like that. It was Michael Vick 2.0.
That's what I mean. Like you have to do that type of thing to win.
And Shador is doing that though.
And he is
with no O line.
If he keeps it up the whole year, there's a good chance Shador could win, especially if if
he don't get fucking hurt, God forbid.
If all these Pac-12 teams take each other out, and Caleb Williams and Michael Penix both have a couple of losses, and Shador's stats are better, but I don't see his stats being better than Caleb's. I just don't. Caleb's like, Jesus Christ, that dude's so good.
We might as well just do fucking 1 and 2.
Well, who do you have at?
I got
4.
I got Bo Nix at 4.
Okay, so I have Jordan Travis at 4.
I still think Travis is better than Nix, and I still have him at 3. And I don't see us losing relatively anytime soon. God forbid. And his stats are going to improve. I think he's just a better player overall than Nix.
I haven't hopped on the Bo Nix bandwagon. I just haven't done it yet.
No, I haven't either. If he beats Washington, I'd probably put him fucking 1. I don't see why not.
I don't even have him in my 5 yet. Maybe is that crazy?
I think it's a little crazy. He's really fucking good. He's putting crazy numbers out. Like he's averaging that's probably about 250, 260 a game passing. Completion percentage averaging about 80. Averaging like 3 passing touchdowns a game. Was that 1 interception? Yeah. And he's not really running for a lot like he used to. Like that's kind of where he was getting all his like extra momentum over some of these other dudes. And then that's cool. Like because NFL players or NFL like teams don't want these fucking running quarterbacks, which is kind of like what he was doing. So I think he's kind of like preparing himself to like transition to the league, and their offense is different, obviously. So they're not running a lot. He's not having to run a lot, make plays. Like he's got people to throw to. So maybe they're kind of like he's trying to transition himself into like a more pocket passer, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. I don't watch Oregon football, so I'm just kind of talking on my ass here.
I mean, you could make the argument that I maybe should have put him in over Dylan Gabriel, but I mean, if you look at their
Oh,
stats,
yeah.
Dylan
Okay.
Gabriel has more yards, more the same touchdowns,
We'll
better
just yeah.
QBR.
We'll do that, and we'll fucking compare JJ McCarthy real quick. unless you want
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
unless you want to finish out the five. But we kind of.
Let's see.
What was your three?
Cam Ward. I didn't move him
Oh
by
yeah,
week.
I forget about Cam Ward.
I think if he could keep it up, I don't see why he's not up there, especially if they keep winning. He hasn't thrown an
Okay.
interception yet, but I mean,
1390, 13 and 0 compared to like. Okay, so he's got like 3 more touchdowns than Quinn,
more yards. It looks
or
like
less yards and touchdowns than Knicks, more yards and a few more touchdowns than Travis. Better QBR too. So I mean, you could argue he could be over. Like you could argue Knicks being 3, Cam Ward being 4, and like you could probably. I might just be a homer in here, but you could probably take Travis out right now. To be fair,
you could.
but I'm not.
I think it's just the fact that they had a bye week that kind of hurts his stats. I think if they play this weekend, his stats would be looking a lot better. I'm not ready to take him out until he if he doesn't have a good game against Virginia Tech, I'll probably take him out.
There's so much good to say about Jordan Travis, man. He's like the type of dude that you would want to like marry your daughter. Like he's just a fucking dude. He's the guy. I love him, and he just bleeds Florida State. Like he would die on that field if he could. He would die on that field.
Well, I mean, I said this at the first episode. I think he's the best leader in college football since Tim Tebow. I'm kind of sticking to that. I haven't seen anything to show me that like he's not a leader. He comes through in clutch moments. He's got that good attitude about him. He never gets too rattled. He never gets too cocky. He's super humble in his interviews. I mean, I just don't think there's a better leader in college football at the moment.
I fucking love him. It's my dude.
Great quarterback. So yeah, I mean, I guess we're getting into the Caleb Williams, Michael Penix, number 1 and number 2. I actually moved.
I got Penix
to
1.
2. Wow.
I got Penix 1. I don't know. Like I don't want to say I don't think he's the better player because he could be. They're both fucking playing at like the same level right now. It's just Penix is a lefty and he's got the injury history, and Caleb Williams is like the prototype guy that everybody's kind of looking, the new Mahomes, like everybody's high on, and Penix isn't really that guy. So that's why I think everybody's higher on Caleb Williams. But like looking at the stats, they're pretty similar. Like Penix got fucking almost 2,000 yards already, 16 touchdowns. He's got 21.
And then he has, I think Williams has like 4 or 5 more on the ground though. So
better QBR. He's got 3.
So he's sitting at 24 total.
And man, Penix don't fucking run the ball. Can he run? Like I don't even know. Like
he's kind of like CJ Stroud. He can't run. He's just a pocket passer.
CJ Stroud looks like he could. Like the dude looks like he should be able to run. Like he looks like he's like quick, but I feel like he's kind of slow.
He didn't have any like rushing yards last year. I think he might have had like 1 rushing touchdown.
That's so weird from a college quarterback. That's like he looks like he could be mobile. And then Penix is like 213 pounds though, so that makes sense. Like he has no rushing. He's a big dude. He's big dude. What's Caleb?
Really big dude.
215. Travis. Well, I guess maybe not. Is that the average? Like over 200 pounds? That seems like really high.
I mean,
is this like a weird year, or is like this like the norm for?
No. Quarterbacks are typically 200 plus because I mean, even Kyler Murray is sitting at like 205 and he's 5'9".
Really?
Yeah, he's 205.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I guess I've just never looked at the weight for quarterbacks. Believe it or not.
I mean, I guess you kind of got to have some weight on you to take those hits to kind of avoid injury.
Very true. All right, we'll match up. We'll see what JJ McCarthy little ass is in that. All right, 1,071. So
he's got the best QBR in the nation. Though.
Penix almost has 1,000 yards on this dude passing. Okay, and then 16 touchdowns, 10. Caleb has like 24. So he's sitting right there with Jordan Travis, who's also not played a game and has been taken out. Has McCarthy been taken out?
He might have been. What's his rushing stats actually? I'm kind of curious about that.
Yeah, 1.
He's only got 1.
He's got 51 yards rushing against Rutgers.
No, that's a good. He could rush when he
He's got
needs to.
he's got 11 touchdowns total then, but 3 interceptions. So there's no fucking way this dude is number 4. Everybody on this list is over him, Cam Ward included.
Yeah, every single and Cam had a bye week.
This dude's over him.
Is it that number one QBR that's really pushing people to rank him that high?
I guess his completion percentage is fucking not even that great.
How does he even have the number one QBR when he threw 3 interceptions in a game? Caleb only has 1. Dylan has 2. Cam has 0 interceptions.
Yeah, a 10.6 QBR right here. This dude could have been up for a fucking like dud of the week that week. With yeah, that's probably who we should have picked that week. I don't remember who he picked.
I mean, I typically pick teams that lose.
Yeah,
but had they lost, he definitely would have been the worst.
I don't remember who he picked. We didn't even pick nobody this week, but McCarthy number 4 is fucking whoever said that is smoking crack.
Yeah, it was a pretty like reputable, not like like a pretty well known. It was either like Fox or Bleacher Report or something like that had him at like number 4. Fox. And
that person who wrote that should be fired.
And Michigan fans, like I think JJ McCarthy is a great quarterback. I know y'all like.
I don't know about great, but he's good. He's good. He could be great.
He's a type of quarterback. He could win you.
He's a junior. He'll probably come back next year.
Well, they're saying he's going top 10 in the draft. He's probably
if he goes the top 10, bad things are gonna happen.
I think he's going to the draft. I think he's going probably first round.
I mean, if I was him and I am projected to go in the first round, I'm going. I'm not staying. I'm going. Whether or not I fucking deserve to go or not, I'm leaving.
I'm getting my money. Yeah, exactly.
Like, why the fuck would I stay in Michigan and potentially get hurt, getting fucking sacked a couple of times? You know, it just makes sense. Get there and get that rookie contract over with, and maybe get that second deal and make some money.
Well, the thing is, like certain college quarterbacks, like they are not the flashiest in college, but somehow they translate to the NFL. It's weird how it works because, like, Anthony Richardson's doing pretty good.
Oh my god,
he wasn't good last year in Florida. Like, it's crazy.
See, but we talked about him. We was like that. He. You could tell he's an athlete.
He's good, yeah,
baller. Like he's just got raw talent. Like he can't throw, but I guess he can now. He's throwing pretty well.
Yeah,
in college he couldn't fucking throw for shit. So I think they're kind of ironing him out and getting his mechanics and his passing under control. And if they can get him ironed into a fucking solid quarterback, the Colts are going to be a problem because he can run too. He's running like a motherfucker on people.
He's a dual threat, and I mean, he for a rookie, he's playing great. And I mean, maybe that's what they see in JJ McCarthy. Like, yeah, he's not doing all this, and obviously he's not as great of an athlete. You know what I mean? But
McCarthy shouldn't even be in the fucking parking lot of Anthony Richardson's ballpark. Not even at the park. He's not even allowed.
I just mean by like the raw talent. Maybe it's just like maybe he's just they see that something that we don't see because obviously we're not watching game film of all these quarterbacks. We're just kind of looking at the stats, watching the highlights, watching some of their games.
If I was having to watch game film of quarterbacks, I'd be divorced by now. You know how long that shit takes? God, that's like okay. So like, let's imagine like we wanted to watch game film of JJ McCarthy playing Nebraska. So that's 16 passing attempts you got to watch, and then you got to watch what he does the rest of the time. So when he's not passing, you got to see what he's doing, and like that's 30 passing attempts right there. You got to watch every single one of them. Who's he throwing it to? Was there somebody else open? Like, is he making bad reads?
Did the receiver drop it? Did he overthrow? Yeah.
That's just for this one fucking dude. That's like thousands of fucking passing attempts for all these players you'd have to. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah, only NFL scouts are doing that, or maybe the guys
it's not even
that
one
for
person.
Like ESPN that do it too, and they have teams too.
They have a fucking team. It's crazy. Absolutely not. All right, moving on. We could do. Let's see. We did Heisman top 5. Do you have a defensive team performance?
You know, I didn't really.
I couldn't find anything that really stood out other than like. I was kind of looking at. I was jumping into like, I was kind of looking at Michigan because they held Nebraska to 7, and then I didn't want to pick Alabama because that was my best performance. There was another team that like absolutely dominated. It was some random school.
Yeah, there's nothing that stood out a whole lot to me. I mean, I guess you could argue even Oregon State, but I just feel like it's a lack of offense from Utah as opposed to like
Yeah,
great
a
defense from
defensive
Oregon
performance
State.
for sure, for sure. And then you got any new coaches on the hot seat? No, Brian Kelly. Yeah,
No, I don't have Brian Kelly on there. I think
no, his ass is on there.
it's getting a little bit warmer for me. I will say I think Jimbo's seat is getting a little bit colder unless they just get whooped by Bama this weekend. But I think I made this point last week. Like Jimbo did not get brought on just to like have a winning season.
It's
He got
the
on to
Lane
win
Kiffin's
championships.
same thing. Well, not that it's not the same. They brought Jimbo and yeah, obviously win championships, but like he's doing the Lane Kiffin thing.
Well, now it's getting to the point where if Jimbo like if
He's,
if
he's
the
making way more money too.
if A&M finishes like 8-5, it feels like a successful season for them, and that's not what they brought
No,
him in for. That's not what they brought him in for.
that's not a successful
Eight
season
and
at
five should
all.
not feel like a win for A&M at this point. With the money they poured into that program, the money they poured into Jimbo himself, the recruiting classes that they've had, there's just no excuse for him to. They need to win out and make the playoffs, really, like in my opinion. But they'll keep him. They'll keep him
If
if
they
they
make the
go 8 and
playoff,
5.
yeah, for sure.
No, I think they'll keep him if he even just goes like 8-5, 9-3. I don't think they're firing him this
All
year.
right, let's see. I'm wanting to say they lose to Alabama here, but I don't know about Alabama still. Like I think they're good, but like we really haven't seen Texas A&M. Like they lost to Miami, and then they beat Auburn, who almost beats Georgia. Like
Also, Jimbo, he used to coach under Nick Saban. He knows Nick Saban's style very well, and he's been able to pull off an upset
I mean,
against Nick Saban.
you got to look at that Saban stat against assistants. Like that's you can't ignore it. Like it's almost like unignorable. It doesn't happen. It's happened like twice, two or three
Yeah,
times.
aside from Kirby Smart,
And
nobody's really.
Sarkeesian.
Yeah, I mean nobody's really
Is
been
that
able
it?
to beat him. Well, I think Jimbo beat him once.
Has Kiffin beat him?
Kevin's never beat him.
Yeah,
No.
so it almost fucking never happens. So it's like you almost can't bet against Alabama against anybody he's coached with. You might as well not. Aggie's defense is unreal. Are they? They got a good defense? Let's see here.
They might have a good defense. This is
We'll
maybe this
see.
is it. Maybe this is A&M's year.
They better have a good rushing defense because they're going to get a lot of Jalen Milroe running the ball.
It might work out in their favor. They know it's coming.
I want to look up my team. I hate ESPN. Like, okay, so like I got a team, right? I want fucking defense statistics, right? So we got scoring, first downs. Like, where is defense?
Yeah, they have like nothing.
It doesn't fucking exist. What are we doing, ESPN? Come on now. Fucking trash.
You know what? I think A&M runs the table this year and makes the playoff. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, what? Hot take.
No. I think they
uh,
lose to Bama. I think they lose to Tennessee. I think they beat South Carolina. I think they could
if
win against Ole Miss.
if Ole Miss plays like that against LSU, like I don't like you have to outscore them like that. They scored like 56. You have to score more than 56.
I think I see, or realistically, they probably lose like 4
Maybe
games.
two. I'm saying maybe two. Because like obviously they lost to Miami. So if Miami is really good and they play them really close, so that means okay, Texas A&M's not too bad. If they beat Alabama here, all right, they're for real. They should beat Tennessee, and then they could probably drop Ole Miss or LSU. They could finish with maybe 2 losses, like the high end, I think.
Yeah, I still think they. Well, just really, it's the clarity this weekend is my thing. If they beat Bama, that speaks volumes to how good they are. But if they lose to Bama, I think they're going to lose quite a few games, especially if it's like Bama just destroys them.
That's
I
a scary.
think.
It's like a scary game to bet on. I'm avoiding that one.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
going
too
to.
risky. Like we don't know enough about either team. Uh, yeah, I don't got any new additions to the hot seat coaches other than Brian Kelly. I put him back on. I've left everybody that I've mentioned. They're all still sitting there,
Yeah, I mean, I think the hottest seat
Ryan
is
Day included.
yeah, Ryan. I mean, if he can't get it done against Michigan, it's crazy that the standard at Ohio State is that high. That's what it takes to get fired there. I mean, for the who I think has the hottest seat for me, it's either Dave
They,
Aranda
yeah, for sure.
or Mike Gundy. I feel like those are the two really hot seats right now.
Halfway to Boston College. He's not making it another year. There's no way.
They've I don't know
So like,
like
who are they gonna get though? Like, come on, Boston College, just fuck it, just keep him. He's not a terrible coach.
Boston College hasn't been good since Matt Ryan, and I don't know if they ever
Like, who the
will.
fuck wants to go? They had Luke Kuechly. Like,
Oh yes, that's true.
but like coaching wise and like performance, no way. They might as well move to a different conference. If I was them, I would move. Just change conferences, or they're hoping they better hope like Clemson, FSU, and like North Carolina leave because then they might have some success. Then it's gonna be like Duke's conference.
Yeah, it'll pretty much be. I don't
Duke's gonna be
see.
like a football, basketball, power ACC school, and then they're gonna make the playoffs and just get beat down every year.
North Carolina won't leave though, because they can't lose that Duke rivalry, especially in basketball.
I think they would still play them in basketball. They probably set something up like Notre Dame's got where they're like half ACC and like certain shit.
They could do that, and I mean, basketball is a little bit easier to schedule like non-conference matchups.
Yeah, maybe
But
just have like a permanent schedule with
because I
North
mean, college
Carolina.
football is really weird. Like you would think with OU and Texas leaving, that OU and OSU would set something up to play each other.
Yeah, you would think.
But
Maybe
no,
every other year or every couple of years they might try to fit him in for like a out of conference.
it should just be like the last game of the year, like Florida FSU. That's what it should be. But everybody's all mad at each other right now, and it's not gonna happen. So
Maybe hopefully down the road, maybe they might bring it back.
yeah, I could see OSU kind of changing their tune. Like they're gonna experience 1 year without that game, and like oh, we lost a lot of money. Like and
Yeah.
OU's like we don't really
Oh,
need it, but we'll
they
take it.
don't.
We'll take the money. Like
OU doesn't need that game at all. Honestly, if I was OU, I'd tell them to get fucked because like that's just more of a chance that they can get upset by a rival because those rivalry games are potentially like catastrophic, especially if it's the last game of the year. Like I wouldn't want that problem. I would just schedule some bullshit team.
well, I mean, it's like OU barely needs that rivalry now.
Yeah, they really
But I
don't.
mean, they do in the Big 12. But I'm like, next year they got Tennessee, Alabama, just all these Texas still. Like they don't need that.
Shit, at this point, OSU, you might as well put them at the beginning of the year and use them as a tune-up game.
Honest, you know what I wanted to happen. This just wasn't ever gonna happen. I wanted OSU to come with us to the
Hey,
SEC,
there's
but
no way.
they're just not cut out for SEC football. But
They,
that's what
they,
I wanted.
they would be like the new Vanderbilt and like they would never win.
Yeah, I mean they didn't even get an offer. I'm sure the SEC is like, why would we even do that?
I've
I'm
actually,
sure OU threw the idea out. I'm sure they asked the SEC.
I mean, why? You got Texas coming. That's your rival right there.
Yeah, and I mean Texas is a bigger
That's a
rival,
bigger rivalry. Fuck OSU.
but I mean for the state
It's
of
like,
Oklahoma, like
yeah,
Bedlam
that's
is
tough.
such a big for the whole state. It
It is.
sucks. It
Yeah,
sucks.
it's losing the state some money too.
I mean, it's such a big deal in the state. Granted, it's a way bigger deal to OSU fans,
Yeah,
but it's a big deal to OU fans too because it's just nice to
yeah.
they talk all year and then
I think
we beat them.
eventually OU fans are gonna miss it, and then
I'm gonna miss it.
I think they could be calling for it to come back in the next 5 years.
I never wanted to lose it because it's always like it's fun. It makes things fun, but unfortunately, OU moving to the SEC. I wouldn't say unfortunately moving to the SEC, but I'm not super thrilled about moving to the SEC.
I seen something. I don't see it on here. I seen something about Urban Meyer to Michigan State.
I've heard that rumor as
Did
well.
you hear that?
I have heard that rumor. I
What do
think
you
that'd
think?
be
You think it's holding any water?
I think it's possible. I think it'd be a terrible decision.
Why? Why?
Because he's such a
I
controversial guy.
yeah, but they need something. Nobody's gonna want to come into Michigan State after fucking the whole Mel Tucker debacle, and no, and then he would come in and immediately turn this team around immediately, just by recruiting.
Do players still want to play for him after the whole thing in Jacksonville?
I mean, fuck it, I would. He's got national champions.
I
He's
mean,
got
I guess that's true. I mean,
he's won. He knows how to win. Why not? Fuck it.
What's your opinion on Urban Meyer just in general? Do you like the
I
guy?
I don't think he's a good dude, but I think he can coach.
I can't stand the guy.
I think he's
First
kind of
off,
a sleazeball.
he needs to leave Florida because he's
He's got a
stressed.
he's got like a heart condition.
Yeah, he had a heart condition or something.
And then fucking signs with Ohio State like a year later.
like 2 years later, he's like, "Oh, it's fixed. I could coach Ohio State." And then he
God.
covers some stuff up at Ohio State, gets dismissed. Then he goes to Jacksonville and has like the worst season a coach has ever had. And now he's just on, like a big new kickoff.
Just yeah.
But I mean, he would bring Michigan State up, I think, a notch. But I'm like, if you're Michigan State, you have so much baggage going on at your program, the whole Larry Nassar thing, and then you got Mel Tucker. And I don't believe D'Antonio left on good terms.
I don't think so. That's why they didn't bring him back as like the interim coach. That's why he's like only an advisor.
Like I'm pretty sure there's stuff going on there, and it's like they need to find the most clean cut, like
Nah, fuck it.
boring coach hire they could find.
Yeah, we're going all in. They're gonna do something.
They need to bring in like maybe like Cliff Kingsbury or something. I don't think he fits the profile of a Big Ten football though.
I think he's like an offensive coordinator of some sort at like at somewhere.
He's a offensive analyst at USC.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say he's somewhere doing some offensive shit.
Like bringing Coach O, but I mean, that's another issue.
Big get though for like he's a good offensive like mind. Kingsbury is, and he's seen some dudes play, so like he obviously knows what the fuck he's doing in some capacity. Just I don't think he can run a whole team, obviously.
I'm like really when I think about the Michigan State like openings, I'm trying to think of some guys that are kind of
I can't think of any like open coaches at this point.
You know who I think actually would not be a bad fit if he gets fired? Mike Gundy. I don't think he'd be a bad fit in Michigan State.
I feel like he's just gonna retire. I don't think he takes.
I don't really see him taking another job either. If Jimbo gets fired, I think that'd be a good spot.
Oh man, that'd be a solid pick.
Because I mean, he's good enough to be at a
he can recruit
like that.
He can recruit.
I think you do a good job there.
Obviously,
like and the expectations would be so much lower.
Oh fuck yeah, the dude could coach 10 years there and rock the same record right here and be fine.
Who actually would be a really good pick? This is probably the best pick they could get. I don't know if you take this job. Jim Knowles at Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm so high on the dude. OSU fucked up on that. I would have gave that dude anything to keep him, and you could tell that they lost him. That you could tell. And
he'd be a great pick there.
Yeah, I don't even think Ohio State really needed him. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have been fine without him. Like their defense is always pretty solid. I mean, they're probably way better on defense now, but I don't think they necessarily needed him. It's kind of selfish if you ask me. Fuck you, Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's taken him to another level, and I mean, he took OSU to another level. He needs a head coaching job. I don't know if he wants one, but if he does, he's gonna get hired anywhere that.
I think he would do well as like a head coach in college, but like I don't know. I've been watching a lot of fucking Colin Keller lately, and I know a lot of people hate him because he does make some crazy takes, but I think he's onto something here. He's been talking about like defensive. We're kind of going off on an NFL tangent here. Just it's kind of in the league with the Michigan State and Jim Knowles. So like Jim Knowles, if he was to go to the NFL, he'd be a defensive head coach. You look at all the defensive head coaches. Their offensive suck. They cannot fucking get an offense going. They keep fucking up quarterbacks. Like, okay, look at the Bears, right? Defensive head coach. Can't fucking figure Justin Fields out. Can't get an offensive going. And the defense sucks. I don't know what the fuck the Bears are doing. Get rid of that guy. And then you got there's like 8, 9 teams with like defensive head coaches and young quarterbacks, and they just can't get the shit going. Like they keep fucking shit up. So stop fucking hiring defensive head coaches to run your fucking new quarterbacks because they're running them into the ground. And they draft a Nolan, run them into the ground because they can't fucking run an offense. So Jim Knowles going to the NFL would probably not be the best idea because he's probably not going to go to a power fucking team with an already established offense. He's going to go to like the Bears with no offense and probably fall into that same rut that all these defensive head coaches are falling into.
No, I understand
What do you
what you're
think?
saying. No, I agree with you to a certain point. I do think defense is gonna make its way back. I think people are just getting way too like is it really like is it really just gonna be offensive football till the end
Well,
of time?
yeah,
Like
because they got to change the rules if they wanted to even out. The rules are so favored for the offense because the offense is what people want to see. They want to see people. They want to see scores. They don't want to see a fucking 7-0 score at the end of the game. Nobody likes that unless you're like defensive football. Like every time I see like the Giants game last night when it was like fucking super close going in like halftime, I think it might not have been super close. I think it was like 14-3. But everybody was like bitching because it was a fucking slow game because they were dominating us on defense. Like people don't like to see that shit. They want to see offense, and I think that's kind of why the NFL is kind of lean more to offense because people want to watch Patrick Mahomes score touchdowns, crazy plays. They want to see wide receivers, Moss, and cornerbacks. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see fucking a 84 Bears defense out there suffocating people.
I do.
I do too. I
I
love
love
defense.
defense.
I like
But
defense too,
I
but
think
it's
I
just
think what's gonna
boring for the
happen.
average viewer, and
Yeah, no.
doesn't make money.
I think that is true.
So offense is not dying ever. I don't think.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not saying like it's gonna switch
So like
completely over to
these
defense, but
these
there's
defensive head coaches are just at a severe disadvantage when you go up against fucking like Mike McDaniels or some shit. You know what I mean? Like obviously the Bills fucking blew their doors off, but
I think just is eventually gonna hit a point to where like because I mean if you start to look at like linebackers right now, they're getting very
they're getting more
small. They're getting
lean, yeah,
smaller,
faster.
faster,
You have
quicker.
to. These running backs are getting fucking insane. They're not big anymore. They're fucking they're big, but they're fast as fuck.
Well, that's what I think eventually we're gonna hit a point where like running backs, like if you get a really dominant running back, they're gonna run all over these little guys,
Yeah.
and then it's
Well, you
gonna
kind of
kind
see
of
that when
shift it back.
Saquon came out, or like who else is Derrick Henry. As long as you got an O line, trying to think of any other like power runners
There hasn't really been any
like
because
recent.
running back's been kind of like a undervalued position lately.
Yeah.
I think I just think it's gonna shift back a little bit. I'm not saying it's gonna go all defense again or nothing like that, but I think it'll get more balanced. Just the same way I think like in this kind of way off subject, but like in basketball, everything's going very 3 point.
Yeah.
I think
Offense.
eventually we're gonna see centers kind of make a comeback
Be cool.
and be a little bit more dominant. I
I think
think
it'll take a while. Steph Curry got to fucking retire for that shit to happen.
yeah, I mean Colin Cowherd though he really hates defenses. I've noticed like listening to him. Like he
Yeah.
said Brent Venables was a bad hire because he's a defensive coach. He said that as early as like before the season started. He thinks
I feel like he was kind of leaning that way because like when you think OU, you think offense, Big 12 offense. No, Big 12s never have defense. So like at first glance you're like that shit don't really make sense because like you're gonna go into Big 12 and try to establish defense. Like so now you got to try to recruit defense to a conference that doesn't play defense, and so like it's like I kind of at first glance I could see where he was like kind of like the hire don't make sense. But I like Brent Venables and I've been high on him ever since he's fucking been at Clemson because he's been dominating us for years, and I know he's good, but. And he's never been a head coach before, so I guess I could see where he was kind of hesitant on whether or not he's going to be good or not.
yeah, well, I mean his big thing was like going into the SEC. He's like, so we're gonna get this defensive coach, and he's not gonna do good against all these SEC teams. And Oklahoma, he made this big point about how Oklahoma doesn't have like good high school recruits in state. And
There's quite a few,
no, that I mean, well, he kind of makes point that like
but they mostly
Oklahoma.
go to Texas though.
That's what I'm. Most of Oklahoma recruits are from Texas anyway,
Yeah,
and it's always been that way. Like Adrian Peterson was from Texas. Like most of OU recruits are from Texas. You have your rare occasion where like Sam Bradford is somebody who's from Oklahoma.
yeah, and
Uh,
I feel like most of the like I said, the big Oklahoma like players don't really go to OU too often, which is
yeah,
kind of
Oklahoma.
weird.
So he's just kind of making this point like Oklahoma can't recruit out of state, but we always have been recruiting out of
Yeah,
Texas more
if
than
you can out
anything.
recruit Texas, like you're fine.
Even if we're like second in Texas
Yeah, I
recruiting
think
to
you'd be
Texas,
fine.
we're still one of the better because Texas
Puts out
got
some
all
of
the
the
best
best
recruits.
recruits: Texas, California, Florida.
So I
That's it.
mean, I just this whole and then you got on top of that, Venables has done really well recruiting offense. I mean, granted, you got to give a lot of that credit to Jeff Levy, but they've already got their quarterback of the future in Jackson Arnold. So I don't know. I think this whole, especially in college football, I think defense is way more important in college football, and defensive coaches could be way more successful in college football than in the NFL.
I
It's going to
agree.
be a little bit difficult in the NFL. You're even seeing coaches who've done really good in the NFL defensively. Belichick, for example, having a really tough time because
They have no offense.
they don't. He lost McDaniel's, and then he lost Tom Brady, and it's tough for him to get it going. Mac Jones, I made this comment. I think he's the worst quarterback in the NFL right now, even worse than Zach Wilson.
Is he worse than Desmond Ritter?
You know, Desmond Ritter is just
Because
so
Desmond Ritter,
young.
I think Desmond Ritter's holding that fucking 32 spot. Zach Wilson proved himself on against the Chiefs. He looked. I seen a comment. Someone was like that game. Like he didn't have that fear in his eyes. Like if you watched him play before, like you could see it. He looked like he was like deer in the headlights. He was just every time he dropped back, he's like. And then this game, he was locked in. Like, yeah, he fucked up that last drive and fumbled the ball, but like shit happens, you know. It was just unfortunate. It was the last drive, but I think Zach Wilson's not as bad as everybody's. I feel so bad for him too, man. I feel so bad for him.
He's improving. I mean, Desmond Ritter, he's still got the benefit of the
They have
doubt.
such a good offense, though. Like, what the fuck is he doing? You
It's
got
his first full
Bijan in
year
your
as a starter.
yeah, but holy fuck, like the talent that they have on that offense, like you got an absolute monster at tight end. That's like a complete mismatch. He doesn't even throw it to him. You got Kyle Pitts, fucking monster, doesn't throw it to him. You got your new fucking receiver Drake London, barely goes to him, and then Bijan just carrying the fuck out of the ball. And then some games they don't even really even give it to him. Like, what the fuck are they doing?
I still think Mac Jones is the worst quarterback in football. It's his third year. It's his
Yeah,
third year. I
okay,
mean, granted, he had a great first year where he made the Pro Bowl and made the playoffs, but last year he was awful. This year he's awful. He does all these cheap shots. He's a dirty player. He just I can't stand Mac Jones. And
I don't like him either.
after the game, Belichick's like, "Oh, we're keeping him as the starter." And I'm like, "Can you guys just admit y'all messed up? Give somebody else a shot. Give Bailey Zappi a shot. Give like anybody a shot.
Yeah,
Trade for somebody. I don't even
I mean,
care at this point."
maybe at this point they're just gonna fucking ride it to the end of the year. And if they get a
Tank.
fucking top five pick, so be it. Like just let him fucking if he goes out there and competes and wins, cool. If he doesn't, fuck it, why not? That doesn't matter. Like you guys don't really have anybody like in their prime right now that you're like really too worried about like wasting, you know what I'm saying?
It's a pretty young team, yeah.
Yeah, so like
But it's like Belichick's only got so many more years
true.
left.
You're
And
wasting the
like
coach.
he's got this whole thing against him that Tom Brady won him all his championships. So I don't think it's true at all. But
It could be 50-50 on that. It's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell.
well, I think the first three championships were mainly Belichick, but then the last three were mainly Tom Brady. And it's just like, can you win one without Tom Brady? And then Mac Jones,
Ain't
I mean,
looking
like,
like it.
let me just say, like, Mac Jones gets cut tomorrow. He ain't starting for anybody else. Like,
No chance.
nobody's gonna lining him up to be the
Shit,
starting quarterback.
fucking there are people talking about Daniel Jones like shipping him out. He's gonna start somewhere over Mac Jones, and I think we should. Fuck it, why not? Let's just see it.
I think Daniel Jones is leaps and bounds better than Mac Jones,
oh, I
though.
agree, but we have fucking nothing. We need all the picks we can get. We have nothing. We're we're drowning. We're drowning. We got Saquon, but we need to get rid of him too. We'll trade. We should do a package deal. Daniel Jones and Saquon. See ya. Because why the fuck do like why? I don't know why we drafted him. I don't get it. I'm talking about Saquon. Like I love him and he's a fucking absolute unit, but he's got injuries going on, and we drafted him and we have no fucking O line. We haven't had an O line in like ever. I don't even know the last time we had an O line. Like what the why the fuck we drafted a running back in the first round? Like what the fuck are we doing? We cannot hit on an offensive lineman in the draft. It just
That
can't. We can't.
it's just tough. It's just tough because I mean you guys have been trying.
And then now our quarterback is suffering. That poor fucking man got sacked 11 times last night. 11. That's like almost a fucking NFL record. I think the record's like 12 or 13 or some shit like that. Like that's just unacceptable. Like just throw in the fucking towel. Fuck it. The season's over. We're going to Caleb Williams.
It's a cold world in the NFL. We kind of went off on a
Yeah,
little
it is.
NFL tangent, like a really long NFL tangent, but
We used to do this though. We used to have a whole NFL segment at the end of our college football.
sometimes we'd have whole like
Well,
NFL episodes.
yeah, exactly. It's just too much.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess we go into predictions for next week in college football, and then we
Yeah, we
can
check out
kind
the
of
schedule.
end the episode after that. Um, let's see. K State, Nebraska. Wait, no, K State's not playing Nebraska. K State's
State's
playing OSU.
blowing OSU's doors off.
Yeah, the spread's like 9.5. I'm definitely
I'm
gonna
taking
take
that
that.
for sure. All right, so here we're getting to the meat and potatoes of the schedule. We got OU at Texas. That's at 11 o'clock. Let's fucking go. Starting the day off right. Maryland
Uh,
at Ohio State, LSU at Missouri, all in the same time slot. That's gonna be tough. Flipping through them 3 games right there.
that's three great games. Obviously, all my attention is gonna be on the Red River, but
Oh my god, I feel so like your stress and like anxiety. I don't want it.
it's tough. It's keeping me up at night. I ain't gonna lie. It has been keeping me up at night.
Washington State at
Um,
UCLA is one to keep an eye on. UCLA was ranked until they barely lost to Utah.
Apparently, they have one of the
So
better defenses in the country. Actually,
I'm kind of scared to take the spread on that, but like it, Washington State's offense looks fucking really good. So
I think Washington State
I
actually
might
blows them out.
I
But
might take the spread. We got Virginia Tech at home. This should be a blowout before halftime, and if it's not, I'm gonna be upset, and you'll hear about it next weekend.
yeah,
Alabama
that
at
that
A&M
should be a blowout.
should. If we come into this game and this game's anything looking like that Boston College game, then we are not. We should not be even in the top 10. And we're gonna lose a couple games. Alabama at A&M, Syracuse, North Carolina. Those are two good games right there at 2:30. Obviously, I'm gonna be watching the Knowles, but I'm gonna be flipping to what's Alabama A&M game. Let's see anything else interesting. This Texas State Louisiana game I'm very interested in. Texas State's been on fucking fire this year and blowing people out, and they're like underdogs going in this game. And like I'm kind of like tempted to bet the spread for Texas State because I feel like they could beat Louisiana. But Louisiana, like they've been like in the top 25 like the last like 2 years. So I don't really know what they got going on there. So that one's scary for me.
Um,
UCF Kansas could be interesting.
that's actually one game where I'm just like, I don't know who's gonna win that game. I think Kansas. It just if Jalen Daniel plays, I think Kansas wins that. I think it's gonna be close either way, regardless of who's quarterback at Kansas.
Watch Colorado blow the fucking doors off Arizona State like
Not
USC should have.
not so fast, my friend, as Lee
Not
Corso
so
would say.
fast.
I
Okay,
think
what do you think Arizona?
Arizona State. Did you? I mean, against USC, they ran out some trick plays. Colorado has equally as bad of a defense as USC does, but they have
Travis
just as good of an offense. So I mean, I'll probably Colorado wins, but I think it's probably only like a 2-score game.
is Travis Hunter back for this game?
You
He,
wouldn't.
he should be. I think he was only going to be out 2 weeks. So
Oh yeah,
if
if
I,
he's
if I
back,
if I was Dion, I'm not letting that motherfucker play both sides of the ball this game. Like absolutely not. You're fucking playing cornerback
yeah,
because
that's
you're
probably what
not
I
getting you're
do.
not getting hit by some fucking safety coming across the middle on some shit fucking pass and getting blown up in the middle of the field. and blowing your fucking liver out the side of your ass
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck.
Uh,
It's spleen, liver, whatever the fuck's wrong with him.
it's a lacerated liver.
Yeah, Kentucky,
Kentucky. I
Georgia.
think Georgia blows them out just because of they are coming off of that game. I think they're gonna fix things, but
Kentucky.
Kentucky's run game could keep them in the game, and I
I
wouldn't
hope.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Mm.
Kentucky made it close. But I think ultimately Georgia wins that.
Notre Dame at Louisville.
Oh yeah, Notre Dame blows them out. Louisville just didn't look good against NC State.
So Arkansas Ole Miss game could be interesting. Miami's blowing Georgia Tech out. I'll probably take the spread on that.
Fresno State at Wyoming is a really, really good
I
matchup.
I think Wyoming wins. So Fresno State played kind of fucking close against Nevada. Nevada is like, I think they're 0 and
They're
5.
the
And they're
they're
like,
the worst team in the country from what I've heard.
yeah, and Fresno State's supposed to be semi decent. Like they beat Arizona State 29-0. So and Arizona State was kind of hanging around with USC, but I don't know. I think Wyoming wins.
I think it's a strong possibility.
I
Wyoming's
might take
look
that one.
good.
I'm gonna take that bet, and it's gonna fuck up my entire parlay. That's gonna be the one game I miss on.
Texas Tech, I think they actually blow out Baylor.
I was looking at this game too. This one could go either way. I'm scared on this one because I wanted to take Tech because they beat Houston 49-28. They've got 3 losses: Wyoming, Oregon, West Virginia. They ain't really looked that good other than playing Oregon close. And then what else we got? Baylor. Just do that. They just beat UCF by 1 point last week. So it's like getting blown out by Texas State, losing a tough one to Utah, and then getting blown out by Texas, beating Long Island pretty well. It's weird. I don't know this game. It's scary. I think I'm gonna leave this one alone.
Yeah, I like Tech a lot in that game.
I do too, but fucking Baylor, like I was like, oh, they get blown out by Texas State like week 1, and then they almost beat Utah. So it's like, what do we have with Baylor?
Good point. Let's see.
I'll probably take TCU spread at Iowa State, Colorado State spread, Oregon State spread, and USC spread for show. Might be onto something down here with this back half of the schedule. I think that's where my betting's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I mean, I don't know about the USC Arizona spread just because Arizona played Washington pretty close.
Oh fuck! What is the spread for that game? It's probably like 30, something crazy. And then I'm gonna bet the under, and then they're gonna fucking put like 100 on them. Something stupid. I'll look later. It doesn't matter. Any crazy predictions? What do you got?
Crazy predictions. I don't think I really have anything too outlandish other than I think OU probably beats Texas. Um, but I mean that's just another game I think can go either way.
That's really the only one with kind of like I want to say upset because like if you guys win, it's technically an upset, but like it really shouldn't be. Because I know Texas is favored, but like you guys are both ranked. It's a rivalry. It's close. It's gonna be close. It's not really an upset if you guys win. An upset would be like UCLA winning, which is possible.
I think
A and
A&M.
M, A&M's like probably or Syracuse.
I think A&M does have a good shot at it. Just because Alabama doesn't have the best offense. And their defense really hasn't been tested too much. And the one team they played that had a good offense, they lost to, in Texas. So I mean, I don't. I ultimately think Bama wins because I just don't see.
Texas A&M's crowd gets kind of wild too.
Well, they got a crazy crowd. That I like.
The 12th
college,
man.
like I don't like College Station
They
is
get
Texas
crazy.
A&M. Like the whole entire
That's
town is basically like A&M's campus. Apparently,
that's crazy. It's like a military academy too, which is wild.
yeah. It's like from what I've been told. Because I have a friend that's a A&M fan. He said like the entire College Station is basically all just Texas A&M.
That's pretty cool. I would go to school at Texas A&M, or if like I was playing football, I'd play at Texas A&M. It's a cool school. Like if I was from Texas, like if you're not really from Texas, I feel like you don't really fuck with A&M too much, or you don't really know as much about them other than like when Manziel was there, or whenever they kind of
Yeah.
pop up and they're like, oh, okay, they're kind of good occasionally.
And this would be
It'd be a huge win for them.
maybe like the biggest win of Jimbo's career, not his career, but like of his A&M career,
Oh, for sure. I think for
other
sure.
than the other upset. But I think this one has more stakes for him, so I think it'd be a bigger win for
It
him.
would save his job this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We'll see about next year if he makes it there.
Obviously, his biggest win was the Florida State championship, but like
That
his
was
A
that
and
was
M
J- that
career,
was Jameis's win.
yeah.
Fuck Jimbo, bro. We don't claim him. Dude's a fucking weasel.
But yeah, I mean, we got a good slate of games coming up. The
Good
season just keeps
weekend.
getting more interesting and interesting. Everybody looks beatable for the most part. I mean, with the exception
Yeah,
of a couple of teams, everybody looks pretty beatable.
there's no normal dominance like we usually have. Georgia or Bama, which is cool. Georgia could come into that dominance. They could, or Michigan.
Yeah, typically Georgia the second half of the season usually turns it up and becomes pretty
Well,
dominant.
I feel like by this point last year, like I feel like we was kind of having the same conversation about Georgia. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, because they had that struggle against Kent State early in the season last year. It wasn't a struggle, but it just wasn't as dominant of a win as you'd expect.
Let's see here.
Mm,
Okay, maybe not. They blew Oregon out. I forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah, never mind.
yeah. No,
Man,
they,
they
they
had
had
that
that
weird
that
Missouri
Missouri and
game.
that Kent State game. So yeah, we basically had the same conversation.
Minus this.
Yeah, it was a little. I feel like Georgia's in a little bit more trouble this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, they'll probably still win out and win the championship.
I'm
We'll
excited
see.
for this weekend, man. I'm excited. I'm not as nervous, luckily. I've been a fucking wreck this season with my team. So we gotta give me this weekend. Hopefully, my stress levels will be at a manageable level. I'll probably be more stressed for like OU because I'm betting OU. So to make me money, my money stress is gonna be high, not my team stress. When it's normally team and bets, and I'm like, ugh, but I fucking have an aneurysm.
Yeah, this is definitely the most stressed out I've been about a game in a long time. I mean, this is like
Just
all I've been
so high
thinking about
stakes.
like every day. Like it comes up in my mind like for a big part of the day. I'm just we lose to Texas, I'm gonna be furious.
You'll never hear the end of it.
We won't, especially if it's a
Not for the rest of the
blowout.
year. Yeah.
If it's close, it'll be a little bit better. But I want to win just to
Uh,
like
I want
have
you guys
that
to win.
excitement.
I was real close to like putting you guys kind of, maybe like six.
If we win, well, that's probably where the AP will put us.
I
Probably
was, I
probably a
was so
six.
close. If you guys win, because they're sitting at three, I think you guys jump to like three or four. You're definitely gonna jump fucking us. Your win's gonna be way better than the both of ours.
Well, I mean, the media doesn't really like OU a whole lot, so I don't think they're gonna move them up as high as they would other teams.
I mean, okay, so let's look at what's another big wins. Okay, let's look at Texas's jump. What was that, week three?
Yeah, week 3 or week 2.
They jumped 7 spots, and Alabama was at three.
Yeah, Alabama's at 3.
My quick math's so bad. So say you guys jump sevens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You guys be at five. You guys jump us.
Yeah,
Unless we blow fucking Virginia Tech like 70-0 out. I don't think you guys would jump us then, but you guys would be 5 or 6, I think.
yeah, and I mean, if
I can
Ohio
see
State
three. I can see three.
if Ohio State struggles against Maryland, there's a good chance Florida State jumps Ohio State, especially if Florida State blows Virginia Tech out of the water. Then
Yeah.
Ohio State probably slips. We probably jump Ohio State. We're probably sitting at 5. Florida State's probably sitting at 4. Ohio State probably jumps down to 6, unless Ohio State just loses, which I don't really see happening, but it is possible.
Man, imagine Texas and Ohio State losing.
Crazy. Well, imagine Georgia loses to Kentucky, the
Yeah.
chaos that would ensue.
Imagine the whole top five. Like, okay, to be honest, like I don't see us losing. Uh,
I don't see Michigan
Georgia could
losing.
definitely lose. Michigan's not losing, so Michigan's a lock. Like if I'm that's 100% lock. I would bet like a fucking mortgage of a house on Michigan to win. So Georgia could lose, Texas could lose, Ohio State could lose. We're not losing. Penn State, who the fuck they playing this week? Is it Notre
Eh,
Dame? Or is that
no, no, they don't play
no?
Notre Dame. They played like I feel like a cupcake team
Yeah,
because
okay, they're not losing.
Notre Dame plays Louisville.
Okay, so I
Washington, I
mean,
don't think plays.
Georgia, Texas, and Ohio State could arguably lose this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's a strong possibility that all three could lose, which would be amazing for the sport just to see that amount of chaos ensue.
God, I hope so.
If just one of them lost,
Yeah,
it'd be great.
I think we had an upset like every week so far. Still,
I think so. I don't know about.
uh,
I mean, I guess if you want to consider Utah losing to Oregon State.
LSU losing to Ole Miss, is that an
Oh
upset?
yeah, I feel like that's kind of an upset,
I don't know.
but
When
it's
when I
not a
think of when I think
major
of upsets, I
upset.
think of like ranked teams losing to unranked teams. Really,
Yeah, I don't know if there was one like that this week. I
yeah,
don't think there
no.
was.
Now Florida not losing.
Well, I mean,
That's not
Florida
an
did lose
upset.
I mean, Kentucky
Oh,
was just outside.
Kentucky wasn't ranked, so I mean, technically that was an upset. So I think we're still moving with the upset every week.
Yeah,
I will count that.
but yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're looking forward to next week. Kind of the end of the episode. So we will catch y'all next week, and we will
Peace.
hopefully I'll be celebrating. But
Go
yeah,
Knowles.
roll tide.